press start.
All right, well, we should start episode 183 of the Current Gen podcast. I do believe there'll be a fourth member of the show joining us. We will see. But for right now, it's myself. So I'm Tim. I'm here with Kyle. Good evening.
Hello.
And Dan.
Me and Jimmy holding down the fort.
Yeah, if you're in audio-only mode, Dan has a visitor behind him, which is kind of rude that this visitor is playing Starfield on his PlayStation 5 while we are trying to... That's not a PS5. That's a PS3, isn't it? What is that? Oh, it's down below. Okay.
I don't know what this is. Actually, that is a PS3. Yeah, you're right. Well, Jimmy has both editions. He's got the He's got last edition. Last gen, and then
I couldn't see the lower shelf, and now I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's playing Starfield on his PS5, as he does.
Obviously.
But we're going to talk about that game that Jimmy Ryan is playing. We're also going to talk about Sea of Stars and anything else new that's out this week. We'll chat about those things as well as some news. But we'll get things kicked off with Starfield, which I believe most of the crew has access to early because we got the premium edition because we hate our money. So we thought, let's pay a little extra to play it 5 days early.
The promise of day one Game Pass is dead. I paid money to play this game day one.
I know, same here. I actually got it on Steam myself, so I could play it on the Steam Deck, which it's not optimized for Steam Deck yet. It's fine, but my quick thoughts on Starfield on the Steam Deck is it's not my preferred way to play. I played it for like an hour on the Steam Deck, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until they patch this thing a bit, because it still lists as unknown. Like, it doesn't say it's Steam Deck.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like they aren't delivering something they promised or whatever.
I think even Skyrim is still not verified, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't know, something with Bethesda. They're just like, man.
They're making a Steam Deck edition because they need a separate edition.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're so right, dude.
So the other thing is it's definitely not optimized for it. And even when you go in and make sure the settings are low, and the settings are pretty low, it runs smooth enough. But the battery life, as soon as I fired it up, it was like you have about an hour and 20 minutes of battery life left on a full battery charge. I was like, okay.
You can almost do nothing in that amount of time.
That is crazy. So I used up pretty much most of the battery life in one session just to try it out and see how it felt. And again, it was fine. But playing it on the PC itself is actually preferred if you have a decent system to run it with. So anyway, I don't necessarily recommend that if that's your primary way of playing. I recommend getting it on the Xbox or on a PC that can run it. But Starfield is out. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it hit over 230,000 concurrent players in its first 2 hours on Steam. Which is pretty significant. I mean, that was kind of up there in terms of other, major releases this year. It didn't quite get to levels of like Baldur's Gate 3 and Hogwarts Legacy. Those were in the 800,000s. But it's still pretty successful. Also, keep in mind, that's only for early access purchasers on Steam. So if you were on Xbox or got it on Game Pass, which I think most people will play this on Game Pass because it's free, right? You're renting it. So it doesn't count purchases over there as well. So to me, that's pretty impressive. It's not like it's a Steam-only game or something. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Starfield. It's out. We've spent some time with it. I know, Kyle, you spent a lot of time with it. I've spent, I think, maybe 7 hours or so in that game world, exploring a bit. Dan, I know you're planning on playing it. Have you played it yet?
No, I'm gonna be a good boy and not spend my money.
And play it on Game Pass
Ryan's happy with you right now.
I'm gonna play it for free. I'm gonna play it for free on Game Pass.
For free. Oh, it's mine. It's mine for free.
So wow, brave of you to say that.
What do you think so far, Kyle? You spent probably at least 2 times as much time as I have.
I'm at 20 hours.
3 times as much.
Meaning one of these days I was just like, I'm just gonna play Starfield. I've basically been playing Starfield since it came out because it just came out like 30 something hours ago.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I guess I like it. 20 hours and 20 hours and like 30 hours.
Hold on. Spoilers though. Is there a field of stars anywhere?
Almost immediately, but not immediately.
By the way, we did a hype session for this past week on YouTube. If you want to go see some of our thoughts.
You're still waiting, and you want to get hyped.
get hyped with us if you're waiting to play it this week. But Kyle, we called out the fact that like between you and Derek, you two are the biggest Bethesda fanboys, just in terms, at least of our little group of 4 that we're playing or that we're talking. So you've loved the Fallout games, of course, Skyrim, and so on. And so you already kind of had your Bethesda cap on, I would imagine, as you fired this up. Like, all right, Bethesda, give me your next big thing that you've made. So there's that point of view, but then there's also just the general, like, hey, this is a new IP. It's Microsoft's next big exclusive. So what are your thoughts on it from both those perspectives?
I will say, if you've played The Outer Worlds, Fallout, Skyrim, anything of that nature, there are many mechanics in this game that are immediately going to feel very at home to you. Whether or not you like that or not, obviously, that's up to you. So I'm talking inventory management. I'm talking a lot of like, hey, I got to go back to town and sell my stuff. Hey, I got to offload stuff on my travel mule of a companion.
Once you told me that, I've been doing that like crazy now.
It's super nice. Yeah,
like, take all these wrenches and tablets I keep picking up.
Please just take it. Yeah, and at some point you can stop picking up wrenches. But it's just good for early game money. But that's part of the game's DNA.
That's Bethesda charm.
That's the Bethesda charm. Is that like you're spending what? I don't know, I'm making up a number, 60% of the game, like in your inventory menu, going, do I need this? Do I need this? No, I'm going to sell this off. Oh, maybe I could drop this because I'm kind of running low on space and stuff like that. Like, that's what this game is, But there are so many new ideas, and the game is so big. Like, I have never even gone off path yet because the game is already plenty of big on path. So everyone who's like, I'm running off into random directions and checking out stuff, on nothing planets, I'm like, that's crazy. Because there's so much to do just staying like on path. And what I mean by on path is just like in major cities on major planets. So the fact that they have the audacity to make like thousands of other like nonsense planets or whatever is just crazy to me. Because like there's so much content in this game, and I was overwhelmed. I think that first night I spent my first session was like 7 hours, and I spent 4 of those hours like overwhelmed and kind of like I don't know. Not that I don't know. I don't like this game. Like it's just everything's not falling together yet,
Yeah.
But once I got really comfortable with how things work with like not only just the inventory, but like moving around in space, getting used to space battles, which kind of can be kind of a little hard at first, but like they get a little easier as you upgrade and kind of get used to like how those systems work, because like you're moving a lot of like, hey, I'm gonna move power. It's like that Star Wars game that just came out, that EA Star Wars game. Is it Rogue Squadron or
just
new
Squadrons?
Just Squadrons, yeah. Like you're moving like power like from your lasers to your engine, from your engine to your shields, and you're kind of manipulating.
Directional pad to like pick one of, what is there, 5?
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 fields that you can. I guess it depends on how many things you have activated.
You have like a pool of points to use, which I think you get more of those. I'm guessing when you upgrade your ship, you get more points to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so you have a pool of points, and you can be like, all right, all power to lasers, but your shield and speed and control is going to kind of suck, or you can kind of balance it out, or hey, I'm under attack by a lot of folks, I gotta charge up my shields and then maybe get my grav drive ready to go and get out.
Yeah, I can start moving stuff away from my guns because I'm trying to make a run. Right. So I'll put stuff into my grav drive so I can zip away real quick. So it's like there's a lot going on there, and the space fights are like slow paced because they have to be, because again, there's just a lot of mechanics going on. I think they feel good though for the most part. Once you get used to what it wants out of you, especially when you get like the not VAT system, which only happens in space. There's not VATs with your character or anything like that. There's a zoom in where you can like choose, hey, I'm gonna knock out their engine. If you knock out their engine and
how do you do that? I haven't done that yet. How do you do that?
You unlock it as you keep on playing the game.
I've only done like 4 space battles in my 7 hours with the game.
People were right online. So like Gaston and Ron, like you guys were absolutely right. Like you got to play the single player mission up to a certain point, So, and I was very reluctant to take that advice, not only from them but from every tip video that I watched.
I've only done a few little side things so far.
Yeah, so I just keep on plucking away, and at some point it'll be like, hey, this is how you do this. And when you shoot their engines out, you can fly up to them and board them, kill everybody on board.
And there's a story mission that has you do that, right? Where you're trying to get the... It's not Moana, but it's named like Moana. I kept laughing at it. I was like, I'm going to help Moana right now. Anyway, there's a character that
teach you how to shoot the engines then?
It didn't give me a tutorial then. It just said shoot out the engines, but I didn't see any prompt of what to hit to do that.
So when you're getting close to them, you'll hit X, but you also have to have the skill to do that.
Ah, got it. Oh,
so in
kind
science,
of targeting skill.
Yeah, in science, there's a targeting skill. Yeah.
Got it. I don't have the targeting skill.
Yeah, spend a skill point. Yeah, there's a lot of things where it's like, why wouldn't you just be able to do this? It's a major game mechanic, and the game's like, nah, you got to put a point in that.
Like, I think I just put a point in the booster pack, which has made on foot stuff completely different.
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
You'll get on moons and like you'll just be like way like 40 feet in the air, just like cruising. Oh, it's so
great.
There's
a jetpack, but it's optional. So you'll have packs that could be jetpacks, but you can't use it until you add a skill point there. I don't think. So anyway, there's a mission on Mars, and this bounty hunter just wants you to go put this tracker up on top of this tower.
I have that mission. I haven't done it yet. Yeah.
That would be like nearly like with the booster pack. It took me like 2 minutes. Like I just hopped up these crates and I just kept boosting like really high and then really high. I was like, dude, this is great. If I didn't have this booster pack,
And you can hover like in the air and shoot like Boba Fett and stuff like that. I do a lot of that, so that's pretty cool too. It makes combat really fun.
I agree with the overwhelming statement there, Kyle. Too.
Yeah,
did you feel that with other Bethesda games when you started them
every time. Okay. And I forgot that. I had to remind myself every time you have your walkout moment, as they call them. So when you walk out of the vault in Fallout, or you walk out of the prison, in Skyrim or Oblivion
cave
or Morrowind.
In Breath of the Wild, right? Like same.
The cave in, exactly, yeah. Like you have that moment that Bethesda has penned, like I think they call it the walkout moment. I forget, but like it's supposed to make you feel like you just stepped into a new world, and this game really has that in spades. Where like. The second I got to like New Atlantis, which is like the biggest city in the game, and it's also the biggest city they've ever crafted ever in any of their games. And it is big. Like when I got there, I was like, this is so overwhelming. Like there's so many levels to every area. There's like 6 areas in the whole city, maybe there's more. Maybe I haven't even explored everything yet. And it's just, and every person, as long as they have a name, could have a mission. So you have to talk to everybody. If they're called citizen or patron, skip over them. But if they have a first and last name or a wonky name or something, go up and talk to that person. They probably got something for you to do. And there's
even the pastor of some weird religion had me go invite people back to church. I was like, all right, because he paid me 2,000 credits. I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. I had another guy that was like church related. Like, hey, can you go take this guy from the hospital like back to his house? He's gonna be a little out of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
Well, it's funny because my character I didn't want my character to be like some zealot. I want him to kind of be a little more like long hauler, little bit Han Solo type, but not quite.
Yep.
So I said yes to that. But then as I delivered the invitation to all the patrons, they wanted to come back to church. I took all the options of like, I don't care, just take this and let me get out of here. Like I didn't try to like convince, like, hey, how are you doing today? I was just kind of like, this is for you. Threw it out and then left.
Talk to you about Jesus.
I love that I got to do that.
My character is a scoundrel and he is kind of an asshole. So like he's nice to everybody. He wants to help, but he's kind of always, anytime he can, like crack a joke or be a smart ass. Like I'm like, press it, take that one.
So I spent probably 3 hours in New Atlantis just doing the little run around, talk to people missions, exploring. I mean, I was scanning and finding so much stuff to sell so I could upgrade. I bought a little bit better equipment. I modded my gun a few times. I was just kind of like doing the role-playing stuff. And I only in the last hour or so of gameplay this afternoon did I get back to doing missions like when I just talked about where you actually board a ship and have to like fight your way through some enemies. I was like, oh yeah, the fighting in this game is pretty cool.
I had the same thing where I was on New Atlantis for so long doing missions there that when I left, I was like, oh yeah, you kill people in this game. I forget that this game's about murdering a bunch of space pirates.
But even the mission where you have to solve this stolen ring, did you do that one between these two?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And there's that whole thing, but it almost felt a little bit Baldur's Gate-y because I wanted to persuade them of something, and you have to. There's like kind of what seems to me like an invisible roll of the dice that can be affected by your skill. Like you can actually level up that skill.
There's always like the persuasion stuff and all that with.
There is a persuasion skill point because I'm like put all my points into persuasion. So I am silver tonguing everybody.
That was great. Like even little moments like that, or talking my way into the storage to get that lady's delivery that was impounded or something like that. Cool. Dude, I'm just having a blast and all that. And I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do the main mission. Like everyone has said, do the main mission, do some side stuff, but focus on the main mission. At least like get through a good chunk of it. So you really.
I am on the main mission that everyone told you that you have to get to, and I haven't started it yet. But I was like, oh, I got here, so I stopped and started doing side stuff again because I'm like, I'm here.
Okay.
You know, I'll do that next time I have a big chunk of time where I'm not going to get interrupted or anything.
Okay.
So we'll see. And there's I'm not going to spoil it or anything like that in case people don't even want to know. But like, yeah, it's like 5 or 6 good missions in. And that's a rough estimate. I've not been counting missions or anything like that. So, but I've done a lot of really cool stuff. From landing on space stations, like orbiting planets.
Yeah.
And
docking was cool. I was like, oh, you can like just dock on the side of the thing. That's kind of cool.
You get in, and might be a hostile one, might not be. You can hail ships and see if they're hostile. I got the wanted perk, so I always have mercenaries who like will catch me in space and be like, hey, we're looking for you, and I'll shoot out their engines and murder all of them. I'll go on board and like really make it personal since they're hunting me. I'm going a full Han Solo run, so it's all magnums and pistols and stuff like that.
Is it worth hiring people in like that bar in that first New Atlantis?
Only when you have a ship that can support a crew.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, or start making outposts, which like those are 2 things that are too overwhelming for me right now. Outposts, I cannot figure out. I'm like, I may have to watch a video on that. I don't get it. And it's just because like it's just really, really, really involved. I had the same issue with Fallout 4, where I was like, I don't get all this like outpost stuff. And I had to watch a video, and then I really got it. And then anything to do with like adding things to your ship or building a ship, I don't get it at all. Like I don't know how to buy things, or like I'll have to watch a video. Like it's just I can upgrade parts on my ship just fine. Yes. But like if I go into the ship modifier, I'm like, how do I get new things to like put here? So it's a lot, and you don't need to do any of that stuff either. Like I'm getting by just fine.
I haven't even tried that yet. I know it's a lot because I went to the button bindings because I wanted to change jump button, which I don't recommend. I just left it. I'll get used to it on the Y button. It's fine. I actually already am used to it. But I went to change the bindings, and if you scroll down all the buttons, so many are grouped under like ship building and ship customization. There's like so many different options. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's going to be intense.
Yeah, it's going to be really involved.
There's a lot of control.
You have to kind of be an engineer already to do that stuff. And I joke. I'm sure plenty of people are finding it easy. I'm sure. I just need to watch a video. It's just a little too advanced for me.
Yeah. But Jeff has joined us. Jeff, you've been playing some Starfield. What do you think so far?
It's okay. It's okay.
Remember, Jim Ryan is here, so make sure.
Jeff, do you want to ask Jimmy who's playing it on his PS5 right there? Do you want?
Is that a PS5?
Down below it, there's a PS3.
It's probably cut off.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's totally a real thing that exists in the wild.
No, it's absolutely. Yeah. Jimmy's over at my house right now. We're playing it together. So
you're landing.
Yeah, we're land party.
I went with a diplomat route, and I don't remember my perks at all. I really don't. I wish I could recall them, but I just went through and was like, yeah, that's something a diplomat would have. That's basically what I chose. I don't know if I chose extroverted or not. I think I chose one.
I did. That one's pretty good, apparently.
Because I just felt diplomat's a little lacking in the combat area. It's more about persuasion and commerce. But I just wanted to get through the game and see if I could persuade people a lot, which so far I've like hired people through persuasion. Made it way cheaper because of that. And I've also been able to get out of, I think there's an earlier conflict that you're supposed to be able to get out of, and I totally did. And at least for those of you that might have a lot more points starting out with persuasion, you're able to get out of a conflict that's supposed to be a big one at the very opening mission. And I was just like, I was able to be like, yeah, no, Constellation is totally fine. Like, don't worry about it, guys. And they were like,
right after I talked them into it, though, I did kill them because they had rare stuff on them.
They do. They do have rare stuff. So
where was this one?
It was the pirates on Mars, or not Mars, but pirates on whatever second planet you go to after you get the
Venus or whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's Venus. Yeah.
And they're like the red something, the name of the crew.
Oh, Crimson, whatever.
Crimson. There we go. Yeah.
Oh no, I killed all of them a lot. Yeah.
A little bit help to get into their faction. You do have to break a law and get taken to jail, and that it uncovers what everyone is calling the best quest line in the entire game.
That's so cool.
Oh, when you're in jail.
Yeah. So whenever, so it activates by doing a crime and getting caught.
Nice.
And they send you, and I haven't done it yet. I just hear it's super great. But everyone's calling it the best quest line in the entire game. And you can do all factions. Like at some point, like you can if you don't agree with the faction, you can burn it all to the ground or turn on them or something like that. So it's like you can role play even though like maybe their morals are like against your RP morals or whatever like that.
I mean,
so.
for now, I'm still doing what Tim did on New Atlantis. I'm just overhearing every conversation imaginable.
So great.
Which is so cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's really rad and also quite overwhelming. But at the same time, I'm also just saying yes to everything. Like I'm in the Vanguard now. I'm just like I'm just totally okay with being a cop. I don't care at all.
Same here. Like, yeah, immediately as the very first mission, it's like, hey, do you want to be a cop? I'm like, no, but yeah.
I mean, he pays you for dumb stuff. Like, go pick this thing up and carry it back to me, and here's 2,000 credits. I'm like,
it's security guard work.
I meant like I enlisted to become a citizen of the UC or whatever.
Same.
Yeah. So like, they're like, after 10 years, you're gonna be a citizen, and I'm like, oh my god, come on, 10 years. But whatever. I love I love that I played Outer Worlds so extensively before I played this game. Dude, because this is Outer Worlds on steroids, obviously.
I made a similar comparison earlier where it's like if you played Outer Worlds, you're like it was like training for this game.
It was the same idea of just walking around and picking up quests all the time, like nonstop, and then feeling like I got to get through these quests,
but
and then you do, and it feels amazing.
Universe to explore.
Much smaller. Yeah, absolutely.
So I found myself with this game being more wowed, especially in the first couple hours, just by the way everything is designed, like visually, like New Atlantis. Really even though there's a lot of like load screens and whatever, I don't give a shit about load screens. Spare me with your complaints about load screens, everybody.
They're also like a second long.
Yeah, they're like a second long, guys. Just put it on.
I will say, if I had to make a criticism about it, like since it's just a second, make them a little more interesting than a black screen.
Yeah, with the little logo thing.
Yeah. But like maybe it's so it goes by so quick. Yeah, I'll take tips, or even
this
just
is a
like
game where you need tips. Give me tips.
If I'm flying somewhere in fast travel, like maybe just like show my like ship, like in like I think Mass Effect Andromeda did that, where it was like you would see like the Normandy or whatever, like in space, like flying.
Oh, that's right.
Or whatever the name of the ship is in that one. So and they do that sometimes, but like when you're just doing a hard fast travel, like it just cuts to a long loading screen. But I don't care. It's just like, if you had to complain about something, maybe just style.
Yeah, that is one. Bit. I think they were more concerned with ironing out bugs, which they did so far in a lot of people's playthroughs, mine included, a pretty tremendous job of cleaning up.
I haven't had any like buggy stuff except some. I had one classic Bethesda thing where you know when assets load in, they kind of load in like top down, you know. So when you walk into a room, like everything's supposed to be loaded in by the time you walk in. This it didn't quite finish loading in, and by the time that they were loading and dropping, the real gravity like kicked in and everything crashed down and exploded everywhere.
Oh, I've seen that.
But that was
funny,
I love that. And that's also happened to me in every Bethesda game. And I'm like, this is the jank I'm talking about.
Stuff.
Yeah,
like,
this is the Bethesda jank I like.
Yeah.
Because it didn't ruin anything other than give me a nice kind of chuckle, you know.
Yeah, by the way,
maybe they should load from the ground up, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, but then it would throw it up in the air.
It launches it up in the air.
I do love spending time places in this game. Like I'm not even in a rush to do anything related to traveling around because even the lodge I spent like an hour in, which is not even that big.
It's easy to spend time.
There's so much shit going on in there, you know. Like I mean, I even found where the well is, and I'm like, oh my god.
The well is so cool. That area is so cool.
Diplomat guy where he's stuck at customs or whatever, getting into the city, and then
I haven't seen him yet.
So I just kind of went back to the entrance where my ship was at New Atlantis, and this guy's arguing with the soldiers. At first there's a family with some little obnoxious kid.
I saw that one, yeah.
But then later on, you go back and in the same spot, there's this guy who they won't let him through. He's from the Freestar Collective, which I haven't learned much about yet, outside of the fact that everyone in New Atlantis.
Well, did you do the orientation hall where they kind of explain to you what all the factions are according to their propaganda?
No, I didn't.
Sure.
But I've heard enough in conversations that
I definitely recommend the optional.
I need to do that
orientation hall for sure.
But this guy he's like an ambassador.
It's fully narrated.
Who's there to like try to help keep the peace, and they won't let him through. So there's that dynamic is really interesting. Like they hate him. They really hate him. And
they're hippies. Get them the hell out of here. What are you doing? Yeah. Get some structure.
But it makes me really like that's why I haven't yet bought in on like, all right, I'm not going to join like this Vanguard. I feel like Freestar is going to be more my speed for my kind of character.
It might be. Yeah. There's also like some people that are just straight up violent to everybody. The House of something.
Varun.
Yeah, Varun. Yeah. The serpent worshippers.
The serpent worshippers. Yeah, those guys are like hardcore. I think I did choose a religion as one of my perks, honestly, because I was like, I kind of want a background. I want a background of some kind that's like.
I hear religious. That having that actually is really good for RP.
I might have gone with Enlightened
dialogue options.
Yeah, I might have gone with Enlightened because serpents was like that's a little too intense for me. I'm not going to do that. But anyway, there's so much
There's
to
a couple
freaking talk about with
religions
this
in
game. It's
here.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And one is cartoonishly bad guy, and the other is kind of like interesting.
yeah.
Which
Enlightened is more like, oh, I
the
care
Outer
about
Worlds
knowledge.
was the
Yeah.
same way,
Yeah.
where the religion that was in that one, I was like, this religion's like, this is a well-written religion, and it's not like nefarious or evil or anything like that either. So it was nice to see kind of like both represented in this, where it's like this one kind of like practical, and the other one's just kind of about war and killing people.
I have to give Bethesda props as well for putting a very easy mode on, which I did not enable. I assume that's for people that have like no experience with Bethesda or action games or RPG games, period.
And they just want to explore the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that I put it on easy, I feel a little bit, especially when in ship combat that I'm still getting used to, I feel a little bit more of a challenge. But it still feels great to kill them. Like it's like
ship battles can be
hard.
hard. Yeah,
they can be, especially when it's like, oh, I'm just doing like 180, like the whole time. I'm just turning around doing 360s. Like, stop, like, especially if they're higher leveled. When you do an orientation as a Vanguard, you face them. You can choose to face 6 tiers of enemies, and they just get tougher and tougher the further you go along. I only chose to do 3. You only need to do 3 tiers to pass. The 3rd tier is like more difficult, and they are evasive as hell. Like you were just turning in circles. Like, where are they? Because they're just speeding past you. They're doing
the
evasive
dog
maneuvers.
fighting I'm not great at yet. I don't know if they introduce any kind of like U-turn or loop you can do, or I don't know if they
it's all about changing your thrusters and hitting the you have to do all that yourself. And some ships are going to be better at than others, but that first one you can do some pretty good maneuvering in if you get that stuff down, and which it is hard. It is
when you figure out like not to just use right trigger the whole time. Like it's like, oh, there's way more weapons here at my disposal. It's when you figure that out, it feels pretty good to kill them. Once you get their shield down, you just left trigger, spam left trigger or missiles, and you'll just
hitting that left joystick up and down, changing the thrusters, like that's where it's gonna get you.
I didn't know that you have to use different weapons if they have a shield or not. See, I need to look at.
Right. Yeah, you gotta break their shields down.
And every time it was locked on, I was like, missile. You know what I mean? Like
missile. I have something on my LB that I don't even know what it does. It's like 2 quick shots, but I got rid of that. You know,
let's send this at their way.
I love how many mechanics are going on here. This is just
there's a lot. It's just mechanically dense, which all Bethesda games are, but this one just like in a way that just feels like new and foreign, and it's keeping someone like me, one of these diehard Bethesda guys, like completely on his toes. Like I am having a hard time keeping up with every single system, but in a really interesting way. So I had to buy a new ship. Oh, go ahead.
Of what it is, the theming of like space and being in space and technology and future technology, like it's gonna be much more to kind of process and take in than like just a fantasy game, you know what I mean?
Like a real world future, basically.
And it's a real world future with real world questions. You know, the game is kind of like about like what's our place in the universe, and where what does it all mean, and yada. It's very existential and cool, and without being like space opera-y and
the reason I left Earth was
overly dramatic.
I do recommend doing the Vanguard orientation, and then you can still tell the guy after, I don't want to do any of this. Like you can still tell the guy after, I don't want to be a part of this.
I will do that. Yeah.
So I recommend that because it not only does it take you through that hall, and you have the option of hitting each little voiceover narration to learn about all the wars and stuff like that, and all the factions from the side of the UC. Obviously, it's coming from one. It's
propaganda, man.
Yeah, it's propaganda out the ass, but it's still interesting. And then you get to do some dogfighting that is
like good training.
Plays off more like training. It's a simulator. Yeah. And then when you can finish that, or you can do all 6 tiers, like I said, and then you can go back to the guy and be like, yeah, this sounds terrible. I don't want to do any of this. Like you can still find or say I want to think about it. You could like just pause. You could pause.
Completing factions is how you get the best like armor and weapons in the games and stuff.
That's what I was counting on.
Yeah,
and money.
Find your tribe and and stick to those missions, because like you'll even like joining up, it'll just be like, all right, here's your suit and here's your gun, and you're like, oh,
they give you $3,000 like right away. It's like, thank you.
Yeah. And I ran. So I'm keeping all my resources like on my ship, because like if they stay in your cargo on your person, you're able to mod directly, without it being on your person if it's in your ship. But you run out of space on your ship really quick. So I had to buy a $90,000 ship just today.
Oh my gosh!
But it has like 4 or 5 times the space, so it's a big old freighter, with some good shields and some good guns and stuff like that. I'm gonna upgrade that. I got my new baby, so that, and it felt good. Like buying a new ship felt good. Getting on it for the first time and exploring inside of it, because every inside is different, it's just like,
your first ship is a little bit
it's tight. It's tight, but it's nice. It's right
But
to the
like
point.
it.
Yeah,
It's like
I
an
do too.
RV.
Yeah.
It's like a little RV because it's
It
just
is,
got
yeah. Because when I got
singular
this one,
hallway.
I'm like, oh boy, I have to walk a really far way to get to the cockpit now. Or now there's a lot of ladders I got to climb, and like there's a lot of space,
Yeah.
you know. So
It's very different from Mass Effect. You get on the Normandy, and it's like you have 4 levels, and there's like
Yeah.
tons of space to go.
yeah,
in
my
rooms.
second shift is more like that, but not quite there yet. But I hope to not get there because sometimes the Normandy, I love the Normandy, but I'm like, boy, sometimes it feels too big. You know, I gotta go to every
big
single
time.
level and talk to every single dang person.
We talked about space combat. What do you guys think about the shooting and the on-foot combat so far and the way that works? And are you playing third person or first person? How are you playing it?
A hybrid for me, shooting in first person, walking around in third person, because I just like to see my character.
Exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's kind of what I do with all these games too. I like the shooting. It feels like Fallout 4, but just better, you know.
Okay.
But it's not the greatest shooting in the entire world. But I don't think it was ever aiming to be either.
It's not Call of Duty or Destiny, but it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very competent, and it feels weighty and feels good. Shotguns feel good, you know, which is another gun that I'm using. Pistols feel good. Like everything
on par with like Far Cry. Like it doesn't feel any worse than like a Far Cry.
Sure.
Like, Far Cry's feel pretty good, but they're not quite Call of Duty or Destiny.
I agree with that
either.
Yeah. Compliments, though. Yeah, I feel like they're both complementary.
I like the way Far Cry plays, so it feels like
too.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels good. You know, I feel like people who are just like, well, it's not. You know, we were making in the hype video. You know, it's never going to be Bungie or Destiny or anything like that, or Halo. But I have a feeling some people are going to be like, well, you know, it doesn't feel like those. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel like the best ever. You're right. It's also the best ever. That's where you get that.
Just the first-person shooter. It's technically a hybrid of it's an RPG that's a first-person game, but also could be a third-person game. And
There's a lot. Yeah, again, there's a lot of coding that goes into making this game feel the way that it feels. But yeah, Jeff, how do you feel about the combat?
I haven't done a lot of it because I did that first mission and I've been on New Atlantis.
You're a diplomat. You don't.
I'm a diplomat, so I want to talk to everybody, man. And if the conversation is not grayed out, then I am talking their ear off. You know what I mean? Or I should say the topic. So like at least the shooting that I did experience took me that first time they show up and that Barrett guy,
mining company or whatever.
The first time they show up, I'm like, how do I do stuff? Like I just panicked immediately.
Good thing the NPCs are killing these guys.
But then I got way better as you're going through that facility, and you're just kind of mowing people down room to room. There's like 1 or 2, depending on the difficulty, I guess. That felt way better. Like I was sneaking up on them, getting headshots, getting great damage. The shooting does feel very responsive, at least compared to what I remember of Fallout 4 and stuff.
I shot one guy's backpack and he Boba Fett it.
If they have a booster pack, you can either explode them or do what Kyle just described, where he goes flying.
And they'll freak out first. They'll be like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh no!"
I love that.
It's so great. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think overall the combat feels good.
And zero G and low G fights feel good. Like when you shoot a shotgun in the air and you're in like 0 or low G, like you'll like your character will float back, you know, so that feels good. There's some real physics going on there.
Do you get that legendary shotgun from the first area, like that the orange one? There's like a legendary shotgun you can find in a weapons case.
I just got a legendary shotgun.
What's it called?
Because everything's random.
T.
So if you got it,
terrible shotgun. It's a terrible shotgun.
It's terrible shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Every time I start a new Fallout 3 playthrough, I always beeline it for the terrible shotgun. I love that thing.
I actually don't know if it's called that. I was kidding. Is there really one called that?
Yes, it's called terrible. Yeah, in Fallout 3, dude. I remember back in the day when I first played it, and I don't know if I watched the video or if I actually stumbled across it myself, but it's the terrible shotgun, and it's like it like had excellent damage. It was a great shotgun.
I did find a really nice shotgun that has explosive damage or explosive shells or whatever, and boy, that's really changed the entire game.
That sounds nice. That sounds nice. But if it is called Terrible Shotgun, then it must be an homage.
I don't think it is. It might be. Now I'm blanking out. I almost want to start it up while we're doing this to go look and see.
I mean, I could probably just Google it.
It's the one I have currently equipped.
Yeah, like that must be an homage. And I don't know if the Fallout 3 one is an homage to like previous Fallouts or something like that. But
I don't know. Yeah, that's so cool though.
But yeah, that's a really good shotgun in Fallout 3.
And by the way, the shotgun does feel, it's a double barrel shotgun, and it's very satisfying. It does a ton of damage, and of course doesn't work super well when they're more than like 10 feet away, but gives you a good reason to kind of like stay in cover and kind of like get closer to them and then just turn around, and it could do 4 shots real quick, and then
sick. That's so cool.
Other than like the mercs who are super strong and they have extra armor, those guys will take more than 4 shots. But most enemies, they're dead after like 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, I do a good job of my thing is I run in with my pistol and I shoot and get them down as much as I possible, and when I'm close I switch to that shotgun and I just finish them off with one shot with that. So
yeah.
I feel like the shotguns do feel really good in this game. To get a legendary so early, that's so sick.
Is it Coachman, Tim?
The Coachman
it's something with the T, something Coachman, and it's a legendary version of it.
Yeah, so maybe it's not terrible shotgun, but either way. Anybody play Fallout 3, get terrible shotgun.
Right. Go get it.
As soon as you said it, I thought you were totally kidding. And I was like, wait, is it called that? I didn't really look closely.
It's literally called the terrible shotgun. And it's actually a great shotgun.
Okay. So yeah, I use that, but I also like, just that early automatic machine gun that you get it modified, and a bigger magazine so you do less reloading, because reloading is super slow. Like, I know that if I spend time adding the skills into certain guns, I'll be reloading like a champ. But right now, reloading is super slow. I have heard that, actually I only heard this one place, it doesn't sound like you can respec. Is that correct? Like, if you put a skill point in something, I think you're kind of stuck there, right?
Is that it there? Or?
Let's see.
That's a regular double barrel shotgun.
That's the Coke.
Okay.
This was like a legendary version of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can find in that first.
That's a sick looking shotgun.
It is. That's the first shotgun I bought. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I think the shooting feels great. I think the flying feels good, and it. We talked about this in the chat too. Like, one of my favorite video game feelings was a No Man's Sky, going in and out of atmospheres and flying through space, and just that feeling.
That's what I was curious about.
A new planet, you go through the atmosphere, and then the clouds start to clear, and you can kind of see what you're working with. Like, to me, that's just so fun. I love that sense. This doesn't have that, but it still feels really cool to go. Like, you can still scan the galaxy, and you can pick any planet you want to fly to as long as your ship is able to get there. And you pick a landing spot. So it's more about like, okay, now you're in the space. It's almost like an open area above each planet, sort of. And then you have an open series of open areas on the planets themselves, depending on the planet. So it's not like seamless like No Man's Sky is, but that might work to its benefit. This is a much more streamlined experience. You can fast travel like everywhere right out of the gate. You just go to the map, and for the most part, you can just kind of pick a spot and hop to it. And that includes like across the galaxy in some cases. So, to me, I like the streamlined nature of it. Whereas in something like No Man's Sky, it's a little more simulator-y, where you kind of have to get in your ship until you can later build portals in that game. You kind of have to get in your ship and fly there. You have to make sure you have enough fuel to fly.
Yeah, there is a disconnect with how easy it is to just fast travel. Like, I'm just going to press pause and just fast travel, and then you'll just, again, loading screen, you'll just pop up on a different planet. Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't really feel like you got in a ship and traveled somewhere. Yeah. And but I get it. It's streamlined. It's for it's for good user interface and stuff like that. But
you basically fast travel to a totally different system, like millions of miles away. Just fast travel. All right. That's fine.
What do they do in Star Trek when they just, or not even Star Trek, Star Wars, like when you just jump,
like
you do
speed.
Yeah.
Just it has like grab jumps.
Yeah,
and there's some good grab jump cutscenes and stuff like that. I feel like if you're in your ship in space and you want to go somewhere, like it keeps you a little more in game, so you're not just like selecting locations off menus. And if like you're trying to just like fly somewhere, you can click like the mission spot like on your HUD. And like, it'll be like, hey, do you want to just travel there real quick?
Set a course for that.
And set a course, and it'll just kind of keep you there, and like your ship will kind of like fly off and like in a cutscene. So it keeps you out of the menu, so kind of that immersion is still there. But I will admit that once you hit that start button and realize how easy it is just to fast travel places, like you're probably not going to see a lot of those like ship cutscenes very much ever again after the first few hours, because you're just like, well, why'd I do that? If this is so much
like
quicker.
Boarding the ship like usual, walking up to the seat and sitting down and pulling the computer up. I still like that. I'm not sure I'll do that every time, because it's just so much quicker.
Every time I do it, you're right. There's something really nice about it. Like, oh, here we go. We're gonna.
He like pulls the pilot controls up to him in front of the seat. I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not something I'll do every time, because it is very seamless. I will say this, it's not really negative. It's more of an adjustment. I did not find the menus to be super intuitive out of the gate, and maybe that's a Bethesda thing. But
they're all really clunky. This one seems particularly clunky, in my opinion.
Like even just getting to equipment and quickly setting up favorites, for example. They didn't really give me here's how to set up your quick slots.
Now that I know what I'm doing, it all feels intuitive.
It feels normal now.
But yeah, but like no, the road to get there did feel awkward for me. Even as a person who plays these games, like I'm just like, oh, this is like taking some getting used to. There was a lot of times I was accidentally dropping stuff instead of like favoriting it, and I'm like, oh fuck, I have to go all the way out and like pick it back up now.
Again, once you get used to the rules, like okay, these are the rules that this menu lives by essentially. Then you know you get into the rhythm. Even with like giving your companions or your ship your stuff that you want to offload, that just takes a little bit of.
There is a learning curve. Yeah, there is a learning curve in this game.
So that's the only like quasi negative I have outside of like the map. I find, especially when you're on foot, the map is almost useless. I kind of wish there would be some sort of
I wish there was some sort of map. Like it doesn't make any sense to me that there's not like a way to, I don't know, like, hey, this is a shop that you can go to. Okay, cool, thank you. It's just like it really wants you.
Especially New Atlantis. It's a huge city.
It's so well designed that once you know where everything is, like it's kind of locked into your brain, so you don't really get lost anymore. But boy, that first time you're there, which I guess is like real life, so maybe they're just trying to keep immersion. But like again, like it's so weird that they would go out of their way to make fast traveling so easy and breaking immersion, but like you can't just let me know what's like nearby, you know, in terms of like shops and stuff like that. So it is kind of an interesting choice for sure.
And it's just the on foot map. The galaxy map looks great, makes total sense.
Yeah,
no problem. But
no, there's almost no there's no such thing as a town map.
Yeah, when you kind of
you'll
zoom
never
into
know
it,
where anything is.
There's a series of like icons of like significant places maybe you've been, and then it's just kind of this weird like dotted geometric random waves. It seems like it's not really showing you like, okay, you're in the middle of this area, or you're on the right side. Go north. Like there's none of that type of direction. So to me, that's probably the only thing that I would point out and say, that's a bit of a weak point. Everything else is like, if you know Bethesda games, or even not Bethesda. I'm not a big Bethesda guy. I played Outer Worlds from Obsidian, loved that game. But if you've played deep, involved RPGs, even like the inventory system is a huge part of that, like it is for so many games that are out there. Even The Witcher was that way, where it's like I gotta manage my inventory.
It is, a lot of inventory management in that game. Yeah.
There's a whole lot of that. And so the clunkiness of the menus at first can be a little bit like, oh, geez, this is how you have to do it.
And they updated that with The Witcher too. I mean, over time,
it took them a while, but yeah.
And we're gonna get 17 versions of this game over the next 20 years, so I'm sure UIs will get updated, and
it'll keep releasing every year on a new platform. That's
VR for PlayStation. VR version of this game. VR version of this game.
No, because it's
it'd be wild.
Like an Oculus or something, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe
but that would be pretty cool though, playing a space.
There was a VR Skyrim that people kind of enjoyed. It was kind of okay, I guess, but
yeah.
But those are like, I mean, those are super mild nitpicks. Like anytime that my biggest thing is, well, the menu wasn't intuitive at first, and I wish it had a better map as I'm navigating around this place that I love. Like those are my only nitpicks so far. I know people are taking screenshots and making fun of like the eyeballs and stuff. I actually find the facial animations and expressions to be pretty good overall. Not perfect, a little stiff at times, but for the most part, like there's this character named Sarah who you meet, who's a key part of the main story, and she goes with you on your first main mission, and you can let her be an ongoing travel partner if you want to after that. But there are times when, yes, I see the weird like crazy eyes a little bit, but for the most part, I found her expressions to make sense. You can ask her personal questions, and as she's like reflecting on something, she actually kind of had this side smirk as she was saying it. I was like, they really took care with the facial animations. Did they nail it perfectly? I don't know, but it's pretty good.
Sure. If you pause a movie at a random time, you can catch people making weird faces too. So.
Pause our podcast, and one of us is doing something weird.
Yeah, but
I'll do the eyes right now.
Yeah. I do the eyes every once in a while. When y'all say something crazy, I'll be like, oh, okay. So I mean, so that happened. But I agree. Yeah, there is some like visual janks every once in a while, but like for the most part, I'm more enamored by how like I don't know how animated these people are. Because you're really just seeing like this. Kind of like you're seeing us right now. You're just kind of seeing just the top parts of their body, but they're moving and kind of doing stuff like that's in character for them and everything like that. And like it's animated enough where I'm engaged with the sometimes very long conversation trees that you're involved in.
But I'm sorry, like when did that become not funny? Like when did it? Is it just like that kind of just the jank and the silliness and like you said, the stuff falling down and the eyes? Like when did that become not funny? Like
I don't know.
Good question. When it was a Xbox exclusive, I think is when it became.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen people, because that's just what social media does. As you're scrolling on, it's like this is the thing you want to see, right? It's like, no, I don't want to see some random fucking asshole just complaining about a video game and with their console wars, but then like you go into the comments and it's funny because then you see somebody be like, oh, word, like Spider-Man NPC, that Spider-Man NPC out in the boat.
Yeah.
That looks like an N64 character. Like, it's like, really, dude? So you want to complain about Xbox, Starfield game?
That's good ammo.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just so like everybody just needs to shut up and just enjoy a thing, or don't enjoy it. It's fine to not enjoy it too, but
there's so much to love about it too. Like the city feels alive, the characters as you're traveling with them, even your first robot buddy who goes with you on that first mission, Vasco, I think. Even he's chit-chatting with you as you go through. He'll like notice something and be like, there's a guy named Barrett who he used to travel with.
Does he have
he's
a
like,
machine gun
Barrett liked going to this coffee place. It was one of his favorite places. Like he'll point out things like that that are just like for no reason, but it's interesting. Or like if you start collecting too much stuff and you get encumbered, like the Sarah character, she was just like, you don't have to keep collecting junk. Like just
might want to drop some of that.
Or don't I?
Yeah. So I actually, as soon as she said that, I turned around and talked to her and gave her like all of my junk. I was like, all right, you carry all this.
You carry it then. Yeah. I like how self-aware some of them are too. Someone will be like, did you need me to carry something?
Okay.
And they're kind of saying it like side-eyed,
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very Skyrim,
she said some kind of jokey thing like, I'll only take your best stuff. Oh, I'm just kidding. She said something like that as I was.
They've always been sassy. Even in Skyrim, the famous Lydia companion's always like, hey, can you hold this stuff for me? And she's like, I guess I'm sworn to carry your burdens, Just really sassy all the time, yeah. So that's fun, that some of that stuff is still in there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But I think overall, like gameplay, top to bottom, is a blast. Overall, it looks very good. The music, super pretty. Music's great.
So great.
Really well. The whole thing is just high production values.
Skyrim had extra, so I would imagine. I don't know.
Yes, again, I think that's part of it. You got to have good music in these games. You're spending so much time there, and like the way that it organically will swell when something's happening, or cinematically if you're in a mission and something's going on. Like it's just like I've heard just so many different tunes in this, and I'm just like, oof, boy.
So here's what I think about the overall game experience. Like some people might play something like Final Fantasy 16, and even if a character action game, a fast-paced action game, isn't their favorite genre usually, there's enough there, because I'm actually in that camp. It's not usually my favorite genre. I like it, but I don't love it. But there was so much in that game that I loved the overall experience, even if that's not my favorite combat type. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Sure. Same thing here. Like I think you can enjoy the game and dive into it and dive in deep and not really need to love first-person shooting. There's plenty more to it. It's not just a shooter, just like Final Fantasy isn't just an action game. So I'm getting similar vibes with both, where I'm just like, man, there's so much here. There's so much lore, characters I care about, so much that I want to learn. I'm going to do what Jeff suggested, where you go in and do your little like tour. Like, give me like the propaganda tour so I can learn about some of these other things.
Yep.
That's what I'll do next. And then I got to do the space battle training, because my 4 or so fights, I've been victorious, but I don't feel great about it. I'm like, man, I got shot a lot. Like I'm just not. There's no. I can't do a barrel roll, So I'm like, how do I do a
make sure you have ship parts, because that's what heals your ship. They do weigh 10 pounds a piece, so make sure they're in your ship cargo. Don't be walking around with those.
Don't be a hero.
Don't be a hero. Don't be carrying around like ship, bumpers, in your pocket or whatever.
Fair.
But yeah, you buy those heals and use them. And there's nothing, obviously if you're in the middle of a fight and you're about to die, man, just start slamming on that R3 button and heal that ship,
Right. Okay. All right. Well, there's more to talk about with Starfield. We'll keep playing this game, of course, and you'll hear us more impressions from each of us on this. And then when Derek joins the show.
Hold on a minute there, dude. Oh. I just wanted to say I agree with your cons. That's all I got to say.
I do too, yeah.
Are there any other cons? I should have asked that. Any other about?
Not for me at this stage of the game, but just the way you phrased it as like light nitpicks. That's pretty much how I'd phrase it too. Like it's not something that makes me go, I don't want to play this anymore. So
it's what's so weird how intuitive some things are, and then how not other things are. That's what's weird to me. Is just like
the thought went into the gameplay itself.
Yeah,
and the bugs and solving them around that, and the maps were it just, you can tell the priority of how the game was designed.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah,
it's okay though. It's still good. It's workable.
I had the same wow factor, just as my last point, walking in that first city, New Atlantis, as I did every other city that I've come across, where I'm just like, this is a lot.
Yeah. Has anybody been to Neon yet? Because that's the place I can't wait to go to.
I keep hearing about Neon, but I haven't been there yet.
That's the one place I haven't been yet that I'm like, that's because that's Blade Runner world. That's going to be your cyberpunk world. That's your night city, you know? Yeah. I keep on hearing about it. I have a mission to go there, but I'm putting it off. You know?
I think somebody mentioned it in either conversation or... I mean, they just keep mentioning it, obviously, in conversation, but the orientation hall mentioned it too, of like, and then these people went to Neon, where it's like a pleasure planet or something, and I'm like,
Vegas,
a pleasure city, and I'm like, ooh, hello, okay.
What happens in Neon stays in Neon.
Stay on Neon City. It's their
that's
NC,
my joke.
That's my but Aquila, the like space western like planet and city, that's like the first city I went to, and I'm like, this place is huge too, and there's so many things to do here too, and it's very rustic and cowboy, and the very first thing you do when you get there is there's a bank robbery going on. You're like, well, I guess I can get involved in this, you know? Yeah. It's just very like fun tropey space western type of stuff, you know? It's your space western genre planet, you know?
Love it.
And that's where you get deputized as I think the group that you're looking for, Tim.
Star.
Yeah. And like you go on deputy missions, they give you a magnum and like a cool vest and a nice sheriff badge, and you can go and just solve problems across, you know, the frontier, you know, worlds, if you will.
Yeah, I did end up talking to this named character in that little shop, that little bar, and she wanted 12,000 for me to hire her, and so I did the persuade thing and got it down to like 5 or 6, I think, which I had plenty of money. Nice. Which I love that persuade worked. But her backstory already sounds interesting, and I have a feeling we'll have to go to her homeworld at some point if she sticks around, and if whatever. But it's this place called Hope's World or Hope's Town or something, where some guy with the last name Hope essentially is like a dictator, and he's horrible to everyone.
Sick!
It's Hope. I was like, this sounds great. I want to.
Yeah, I can't wait to go there.
Let's go kill that guy. Yeah. So anyway,
I do like that. You get little breadcrumbs. You know, we're all excited for things that we haven't seen yet. You know, which is good game design. You know, it's good. Agreed. It's good. It's good carrot on a string design.
Agreed.
But the game is 30 frames per second, so it's terrible.
I'm thinking about that every moment I'm playing it too. I'm like, this is like, you can really feel all 30 frames. Like it's really something.
So 0 out of 10. You know, 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
0 out of 10.
Ultimately, it is meeting every single one of my expectations, if not exceeding. I am just blown away by this game. So,
yeah. So far, I feel the same way. My expectations, like I said, my hyper level was like at a 9. I'm currently feeling. I'm not even big into scoring games, especially this early. But yeah, like if you forced me to put a number on it, that's probably about what I would score it too. Like I really, really love it. I'm enjoying it a lot. Add it to the list of games. I don't know which one I'm going to pick for my favorite of the year, but I'm having a lot of fun. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter which ones are the best ones. They're all super fun. All the big ones, at least. Let's talk about Sea of Stars. Don't let this one get overshadowed by Starfield.
A lot of sci-fi stuff.
A lot of stars happening.
A lot of stars, rather. Yeah,
a lot of stars this week.
Stars.
I can't wait for Star of Stars next.
Star of Stars.
Yeah,
it's going to be Starfall, and Derek's
Starfall, into the stars.
Oh, Derek just joined the call.
Starfall.
Or just stars with a lot of R's, and it's going to be the face of Nemesis.
I forgot to even say I was the one of us that got the watch.
Oh, let's show.
Can't even see it.
Oh yeah.
Hold it in front of your face.
In front of your face. Yeah.
There it is. And
it
you
looks
can see
just
the
like
faces
the game.
change. The faces change.
Does it sync up to the game though? If it doesn't, I don't care.
It does not. It does not.
Boo.
But the it's funny. The stamina bar in the game, which is
looks just like the oxygen.
It's the reverse on the watch. So this is a step counter on the watch. So it's like in the game, it runs out. You're out of breath. You can't do anything. But
so it hooks up to an app or something, right? Where you can kind of set some of that stuff on the app.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's in watch. Like you just tell it, here's the amount of counts, the amount of steps I want to take each day. But it does need to link to your phone in order for it to tell the time, all that stuff. But yeah, it's great. And it's got this saved my butt today because I lost power. I went to take a pee before I did a show and I had no power. So I turned on the torch mode, which is just a flashlight. And I just had my wrist out while I was peeing. It was just so funny. That visual.
Sick.
That is amazing.
And the unboxing was just extraordinary because it is literally, if you go on the lodge and look for, you can find the Constellation watch container, and it's the same one that they send.
It's there. It is. Yeah.
It's the same exact one.
In-game stuff.
And it's like the twisty ones that they give like astronauts shit in. That whatever.
Nice.
I just picture astronauts opening all this stuff, and like it's like a twisty open one, and like and it has got a different whatever you call it, strap for the watch, which I don't think it fits very well, but this one fits just fine, the one that it comes with. I'm trying to remember what else it came with. I think that's about it.
Oh man, that
and it came with a
special
patch too.
collector's edition just looks so awesome.
It was great. Yeah, among the collector's edition stuff that's come out this year, and there has not been a shortage of great stuff. Like I just got the Spider-Man 2 controller as well because that design is just amazing.
Do you have
the Starfield stuff was I'll grab it. Just one sec.
All right, let's look at that. Yeah, man, some of the special collector stuff that's come out this year has been pretty great. I still am sad that I didn't get the Tears of Kingdom stuff. That looked really cool. I really wish I could have gotten
I wanted the Pro controller, but you had to import it, so
that's right.
I was like, I'm out.
And too bad. But yeah, the Spider-Man PS5 I think also came out, right? The Spider-Man PS5 special edition.
Yeah, the console.
Look at that
very
controller.
Cool.
Yeah,
very good looking controller.
And it feels so good. And here's the case that I was talking about. It's in the game. Oh, you can't even see it because the damn background. Hold on.
There it is. Space is sucking it in.
Yeah. It's got like the
property of Constellation.
It's actually grooved and like styled on the side. That's so cool.
Like upside down, but like, yeah, when it comes to you, this is the top, and you twist it to open it.
Dude,
nice.
Come on. That is so fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
No regrets. I should have saved the money, but whatever. No regrets.
Man, sometimes getting that physical kind of toy collectors thing along with the game is just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have gotten the PS5 Spider-Man 2 console if it made sense, but obviously it doesn't.
Right.
Sure.
For one person to own two of the same thing.
Well, when Derek gets his, he'll have to show it to us. I do want to see that that PS5.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about Sea of Stars. Sea of Starfield. Sea of Stars. Another ult. Did I miss something else?
No.
Okay. Sea of Stars. Okay, so don't let it be overlooked. This is one of the best RPGs this year and in a while, and certainly kind of in this this pixel perfect whatever, this old school pixelated what's the word we want to look for? Like revitalization, whatever the word is.
It's just pixelated, yeah.
It is in the vein of 16-bit art. Yeah.
But yeah, there's been kind of like a resurgence of this style, and sometimes it's done fine, and sometimes it's done amazingly. And I think this is an example of when it's done really well. Not only with the look, but just the way the game plays, the characters move, the animations, the combat,
the lighting. There's a lot of like changing, like it's like just seeing how the lighting works is like that too. I'm like, oh, you couldn't do this on Super Nintendo. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Even the sound of the text coming up as you're talking to people, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm playing Super Nintendo or PS1 right now.
It was kind of like that. What the hell was that game that I played? That like cyberpunky type game. Now I'm forgetting. Anno Mutation.
Oh, Anno Mutation. Oh, such a good game. Yeah.
That was very similar. It's like it's visually like what you're actually seeing is like the pixels and everything, but like
I don't think those are on the same level at all, though. I'm gonna be
but I'm saying as far as shadowing and lighting and the way that things move, there's a level of detail of a modern game, but the actual look of the game is pixelated.
Got it.
I agree completely. Yeah.
It literally is. Jeff, you need new glasses. You need new glasses.
He's not saying they look alike. He's saying that they're. That doesn't matter. I'm not invested enough to argue about this.
The last time I played a game that was clearly inspired by Chrono Trigger, like whoever made it just loves Chrono Trigger, was Cosmic Star Heroine, which is an awesome game. I've
never played it, but yeah,
it's a really good time. It's really well done. I highly recommend it if you like Chrono Trigger. Now, of course, the new standard has been set, I think, with Sea of Stars. This is a much better love letter to Chrono Trigger, but that one was pretty good. But I do think it's very easy to draw the lines from the SNES Classic Chrono Trigger to this. There's also little pieces of things like Super Mario RPG with like the timing on hits and blocks and all that stuff.
Those were like the two games that they referred to. Like I don't know if you guys ended up watching that documentary of the studio itself, but they said it was basically Chrono Trigger and like Mario RPG were like the two big inspirations to wanting to when they decided to make an RPG. So
Dan, you've been a supporter of this game for a while, even Kickstarter, right? Didn't you tell us you're welcome for that?
I didn't do the Kickstarter, but I remember when it was Kickstarted, which apparently was like right when the pandemic like hit. So that must have been why I like missed it, because I just wasn't even aware in all the chaos. And my wife and I were buying a house, so I probably would have like actually done the Kickstarter, but I wasn't even aware of the game.
Yeah, your name would have been not added to the tomb.
Yeah.
Or you could have put a quote of anything you wanted, and it had to be like obviously it's safe for work. And somebody put in
it.
where that'll be Tree Fitty, and I thought that was hilarious.
That's funny. Oh, that's so funny.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Tree Fitty.
It'll be Tree Fitty. So, but and
shut
Dan, you also just played Chained Echoes, another game, right?
I
in the
did.
Same kind of vein. What do you think
Yeah.
of this one so far? And is it meeting your expectations based on the demo and everything you knew about it?
Clearly, having a bigger team and a bigger budget goes a long way.
Yeah.
And not to say by any means that Chained Echo is an ugly game at all, but that was done by one person. He outsourced the music, which is incredibly impressive. What is there? But yeah, like if you're not Jeff, right, and you appreciate pixelated games, and you can see the nuances and you can see the level of detail, like Sea of Stars is clearly like better visually quality.
The Chained
like,
Echoes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
but not
agree
like
with that,
not by like an insane margin. It's not like Chained Echoes is like a 5 out of 10 visually, and this is a 10 out of 10. But it's definitely better. It's the lighting, like you said, Tim, the shadowing, the reflections off of like water and stuff like that is really phenomenal. Like a lot of modern game
the color palette's a lot brighter too. I feel like the game's a lot more vibrant. Like there's
when you get to that water, that first little water area, you're like, okay, they're doing some things with this.
Actually, when you get to that abandoned wizard lab, oh my god, dude, the colors are just so good.
But even did a really good job like focusing on color popping, you know, for sure.
Well, and the character animations, like their little movements and the enemies you're fighting, like the animations are very detailed.
But even nighttime, which can be tricky, like in a 3D game, like trying to get lighting to be good at night, right? Because you don't want it to be too dark where you literally can't see a damn thing, but you don't want it to be so bright where it's like, well, this isn't quite realistic. It should be dark in here. In this game, like the moonlight kind of bouncing off of surfaces is really nice too.
Oh yeah, I did notice that.
But it's just it's beautiful. The color palette's beautiful. The music is phenomenal. Fun note, Matsuda, I forget his full name, but Matsuda, who is the composer for Chrono Trigger, Xenogears. Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Games Jeff will die never playing.
Sure. You should at least play Chrono Trigger. I mean, you should at least play Chrono Trigger.
I don't think you should. No. Not him. Him specifically? No.
No.
Wait, I'm going to stick with the new stuff.
We're gonna wait and hear what he thinks about this, because I have a feeling he likes this, and you would like Chrono Trigger if you like this, but keep going, Dan.
Yeah, but yeah, very famous composer. Obviously, has contributed a lot to music in games like the couple that I just listed. But he
Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Did he do Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There was like a team of people that did it, and he was.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. So then there you go. Yeah, he's made some
prolific.
Great stuff.
Yep.
Prolific. He's quite prolific. Yes. So he contributed some songs to the development, which is amazing. In the documentary, they're like, yeah, we kind of like were like shooting for the stars, like maybe a song, and he made like a few of them. So like it blew their mind. They're like, we can't believe he even responded, let alone was like, oh yeah, no, this sounds amazing. I'm gonna contribute like a few songs. It's like, that's insane. And I don't know which ones he has done. I feel like early on there was maybe like one or two where like this feels like really distinct, but yeah, just the music overall really, really good as well. I don't know if you guys have found the music to stick out.
I love the music.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. There's been some real foot tappers already. So
yeah.
There's a couple characters that seem to even have their own themes. I don't know if they do, but the way the music kicks in for certain characters that you meet, I'm like, is this just a track that'll loop back later, or is this like, because you know how Chrono Trigger did that? You'd have like Frog's theme and Robo's theme and whatever.
Yep.
I like the music too, even though like I'm not coming at I have very little experience with these types of games, as I have covered many times before on this podcast. But yeah, the music going for that, I know what they're trying to do. That's my point. Is like they're trying to cross retro sounds that what do you call it? 16? I don't even know what they call it.
MIDI,
yeah.
Chiptune.
They're midifying, if you could call it that.
Sure.
Actual modern sounds. It's really impressive.
Because you can hear there's like one area where there's like a flute. There's like a distinct flute. Like it actually sounds like a flute.
They do something in the editing of it where it's like it sounds more like it's coming from a computer, and it's clearly coming from an actual instrument. It's so impressive. I don't know how they did it.
It's very cool. And it feels like it would belong in a game back on the Super NES of that generation. So, but like still also feeling modern, which is really cool. and the two so you have a couple of characters which are the solstice warriors. So you have like the moon and the sun. I don't know if they're actually related. I don't know if I like missed something where they mentioned they related or not.
We know that some eagle dropped them off at a village.
Yeah, there's like a stork sort of situation where they were dropped off at a village.
But apparently, when that happens, those people are destined to become
these
like
warriors,
the solstice warriors or whatever. Yeah, that's just kind of how this goes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think maybe there's like a big bad somewhere that has been like sealed away or something like that.
Yeah.
And
when there's some apprehension with like your teachers who like kind of know more about what's going on and don't really agree that you're going to the training. Yeah. So it's there was some immediate mysteries that I was like, oh yeah, and the main guy who's like running the not cult. I'm like, there's something going on with this guy. You know, like it's like there's enough there where you're like, okay, I'm interested kind of immediately of what's happening, even though I don't. Even where I'm at right now, quite know, besides we're going to go kill the evil, what the actual story is.
Right.
But I think a lot of things have been set up that are pretty nice.
Some kind of like invasive creature that if you don't kill it, it'll become this world-ending.
It gets worse, right?
And you have to kill it on like the solstice or something.
When there's an eclipse or something.
Yeah, the eclipse. That's what it was. Yeah.
And I'm sure when we get to that point, then it'll kind of explain. Probably more will be explained, and
Act 1 will be done, and then you'll
because they quiz you on this stuff. That's why I remember.
They
do. Yeah, they give us quiz you on its lore. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
But shout out also to the third character who's not a solstice warrior. He's just a regular Joe Schmo. But there is something about him though, pure of heart sort of, almost like Link from Zelda situation of
he's Samwise.
He's Samwise,
yeah. Or Samwise, sure, yeah. Or Samwise.
Potatoes. He's got potatoes.
Okay. And he's cooking for you. Come on.
Yeah. He's cooking for you, yeah. Even uses a pot lid as a shield,
he's the best.
But like the moment like where like he kind of comes back and you actually see the sprites actually like hug, like there's actually a distinct, like you can tell that they're hugging because they see him again, like after like that initial of kind of like the
10 years.
The 10-year gap there. And they're like, oh my God, it's you. And then they're like hugging and it's like a really sweet moment. But yeah, just that really like awesome, like, yeah, dude, like we're still friends. Don't worry about it. I haven't seen you guys in 10 years, but like
we're good. I've been planning for this.
Yeah, I've been planning. I've been training. Like he's been in the hyperbolic time chamber, Kyle. He's been training, and he's just ready to go. And he's gonna cook for you. He's gonna teach you how to cook. Like it's just it's like a really good vibe of the trio right out the gate. Like when you get to that point, you're like, all right, I really want to like see what happens here. And like, God, if anything happens to Garl, I swear to God, if anything happens to Garl,
I will burn Utica to the ground. Wait, that's a office quote.
Yes, no, absolutely, burn Utica, absolutely, 100%.
Or wherever they made the game, I don't know. I'll burn it to the ground.
Combat is similar to Super Mario RPG. So there's timed button prompt mechanic there. Extra damage when you strike an enemy, less damage when you receive a hit, which I'm actually kind of struggling a little bit. The enemies are fast, right? They're kind of fast.
Well, and they're all have different like tells too.
Yeah, the timing is different for all of them.
Well, and sometimes the game is bull crap. It's not my fault the game sucks and doesn't respond to my buttons.
There has been a lot of that where like, okay, I didn't get that.
Okay, all right. Game, okay.
So not just me.
No, but they also have these relics because there's no easy mode, but the relics can make it easy mode. And I am using
I love
one.
that they have those. Yeah.
So you can have a relic that will either time your attacks and defenses perfectly for you every time. You can do that. There's other relics too, like increased power, increased health, increased defense, whatever else. But then the one that I have equipped is the one that gives you a really clear indication that you've successfully done the defense or attack timing. It shoots like a little star up. So I turn that one on because it's not really making me stronger in the game. No. It's just giving
a nice visual representation.
It's giving me feedback like, okay, I nailed the timing on that.
I turn that on too, just to get more flair to the game. That's really the only reason. There's no difficulty thing that it does. It's just it just helps. I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Similar to Final Fantasy 16, which is actually ironic because that just came out recently too.
And actually there are way more than like 16 has like 2 or 3 or whatever.
There's a bunch.
But like this one has like you go to different vendors and you have several more. I found one that gave me a 10% discount at all the vendors.
Yeah, that's cool.
Easily equip that one. Hell yeah, you equip that one.
Yeah, buying that one. That's
crazy. Not an easy mode thing. That's just the common.
That's just a coupon. That's
you bought you're subscribed.
That's a life
fiscally responsible.
Yeah, I should have bought that first, but then I bought the weapons first, and I was like, "What's this do?" Oh, son of a bitch!
Yeah, I just wasted
$4. But the other ones I have enabled are definitely like because like I said, this genre is still a little foreign to me. I just ended up equipping I think there's one that's called storytelling relic or something like that. And I equipped that one. That one's like take less damage, I think. I think that's what that one does.
I think so. Yeah.
And that's the only one I ended up really equipping aside from the parry.
I think it's like take less damage and auto heal at the end of every battle or something.
Auto heal, that's what it is. So
which is great.
Take less damage and auto heal, because when I didn't have take less damage equipped, I was getting. Bro,
dude, this game is not easy.
Boss fights
it's not easy.
Like I guess my characters are dead for a few turns. Like
he
holy
stomped me.
crap.
I guess I should attack his sword, or something. I'm like, there's been a couple times where I hit like, oh, okay.
Just so there's a little bit of variety here. Like I haven't equipped any of that. I'm like, god damn, like some of these fights, I'm like, seriously, really? Like, because like they'll be like a group of 4 enemies, and like one of them will be kind of like a bigger enemy, and it's like they're doing way more damage than but then like you have like those extra ancillary enemies off to the side, so everything's just chipping away at you.
The things that do a group heal can kiss my wiener or something.
Sure.
They're just so insufferable. I'm like, what do you mean group heal? It's so like,
everyone's just back to full.
And I did have a really proud moment of doing. I think 18 is my max boomerangs that I've done. Where I just got into a rhythm. And I was like, oh man, I've got to keep going.
I've done it until it just like ends the thing. Like it'll just stop.
It never ends.
I think 20.
Really?
So somebody did like 125 and recorded it.
Oh, okay. Because I got the trophy for 25. So. Yeah. But
25 is good,
100 something.
Like, somebody captured that they got like 120 something. Okay. It's on the subreddit. Wow.
That's crazy.
Which is actually, you know what I just realized too? I literally just
must be going like
that's an homage to Super Mario RPG, because Mario has the special the super jump, and you can technically
keep bouncing.
Yeah, you keep bouncing, but you got to time it. So you can get up to 100, and I think you actually get an item in the game if you can get to 100 in Super Mario RPG. So that must be an homage.
Doesn't
to
it start making like the extra life noise from the old Mario games as you jump it? It's like, doesn't it do that after a little while?
It might at some point, but I think the highest I've ever gotten
in my head, in my memory, for some reason, it does the thing in Mario where like there makes these little click noises, and then it eventually starts doing a little like charm, like you're making an extra life.
It might. I don't
know if it does or not, but in my head, that's what it does. But so there's also, when you're in combat, there's these little boxes that will sometimes come up if the enemy's prepping a special move, right? They can do a normal attack, and it'll give you a little timer, like a little actual timer on them, tell you how many rounds or turns that someone's going to take till they attack, which is nice. I actually do kind of like that turn-based element. And then there's a way you can interrupt if you're able to pull off a certain number of elemental or weapon type attacks on them. And early in the game, some of these are impossible to hit. I'm just like, dude, I can't hit them with 3 slashing attacks and 2 moon attacks before he does 1 turn. Like, what kind of move is this? I can't make this happen.
Well, I noticed something, and I don't know if this is actually the case or not, and I don't know if maybe that's where you were going, Tim. There's a percentage on the corner of those boxes. I don't know if you noticed, and it's like strength or something like that, or power, I think.
Oh, I have noticed. Yeah, you can weaken their attack. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Chip away some of those boxes. Yes. Then it's gonna, I would think, diminish the power.
So that's kind of how I approach it.
There's a percentage, that diminishes.
But if you can get all of them, it'll stop that move from even happening, which is kind of usually what
take
I'm
their
thinking.
Turn away. Yeah.
I'm trying to minimize, because as I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, I'm learning that one of the best ways to think of these fights is just minimize damage to your party, and you're going to be really successful. Like, that's kind of what I'm doing in that game and in this game as well. But anyway, sometimes it is pretty tough. So this is one of those games that if someone says, hey, I'm going to equip every relic I get that I can, at least as I go, do it, man. Like, and like, this game is tough. But I'm not like mad at the game for being tough, because they give you plenty of tools to combat like how difficult it is.
Usually you're doing
in the first
something
2
wrong.
hours you'll find something that's like
you're doing something wrong if you're dying too. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like, well, this is just like,
it's unfair.
I guess I'm not high enough level. I got to go grind. It's like, no, you just did something wrong.
It's a narrative. It's not like Octopath where it's like grind. It's narrative driven. Pretty much.
Yeah. The pacing they're a little more in tune with like wanting you to get through something, whereas Octopath, absolutely, you're right, where it's like, hey, you need to spend the next 5 hours grinding. It's like, okay.
They have these little surprise like animated cutscenes too that all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is
I love that.
Yeah.
This is neat.
I kind of forgot that was going to be in there.
Yeah, same.
Those are cool little, and it kind of reminds me of a few other, again, old school RPGs where all of a sudden it'll do a cutscene. You're like, whoa, that's gorgeous, and then it's back to your overhead.
If this is like Mario RPG, I'm gonna love when that remake comes out.
Yeah, Mario RPG penned this style.
Incredibly
of gameplay
charming.
For sure.
I am gonna love that game.
The combat style.
The combat.
That's what I mean.
The combat
that's what I mean.
specifically.
Yeah, the story is not going to be like it's definitely a little more like straightforward. It's not as like,
Mario.
oh my god,
It's a-
this
it's
is
a Mario
The real
game. Yeah, I
charm of that
expect-
game
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just watching Mario, like,
Yeah.
murder stuff.
Although
so.
the stuff with Mallow and Gino.
Oh yeah, Mal.
So good.
Yeah, absolutely, Mal and Gino,
So good.
100%.
But yeah, no, I'm totally digging the characters too. The characters are charming. The writing is
Yep.
very, very good. Like it's actually making me like, man,
Dude.
whether it's your buddy, the non-Solstice Warrior buddy that you first get, or some
Yep.
of the other characters you get that you team up with from the demo. If you play the demo, you team up with some of them, and all that stuff is super charming. Even the one pirate that you talk to,
Yes,
like
I
actually
was
kind of
gonna
breaks
ask.
the fourth wall a
Yes,
little bit
yeah.
and talks to you about what you expect in the game. I don't know.
Yes.
I love that.
Where she mentions the blacksmith, the thing
Yeah.
about the blacksmith.
That
I was like, oh my god,
inexplicably
that's
gets-
so.
That inexplicably is stronger every town you go to.
Yeah,
like
to every town you go to. Dude, I like was laughing for like
Yeah.
a whole 2 minutes.
I love
It's
that.
very on the nose. Very on the nose.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was really funny.
but that's true. Like blacksmiths in these games get progressively more skilled for some reason as you go
Yes.
through these games.
It totally makes sense. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
There's also actually, hold on real quick about combat too. And it's wrapped into the story, this concept of what is it? Doing magic without using magic or something. I forget what the
Yeah.
exact like saying of it is.
Boosting, yeah. It's pretty much just
Yeah.
boost.
Which is like basically like these orbs of like sort of like energy that fall on the floor when you hit an enemy that you can absorb.
kind of mana or whatever it's called.
Yeah, mana, energy.
Just enhances or buffs all your next
Yeah, yeah.
attacks or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly, but it plays
And you can
into
let 'em
those
just sit
boxes too.
For
Mhm.
3
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can let them
it's-
sit there and you can build them
And
up.
build
yeah.
them
yeah.
up.
Feels so good.
But
Similar
it's
to
nice with
Octopath,
the,
you know.
But it's nice with the
It
boxes.
is, yeah,
because-
different packaging, but yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It is very similar. Oh, that's very observant. Yeah.
That's actually what
Um,
I was looking for in this game. Was like, I hope they do attack boost because I love that aspect of Octopath.
Yes.
Same. It's
Where
my
I just
favorite
sit there
thing
each
of
turn
that.
and then I have 4 queued up and I'm like, I'm gonna beat the shit out
Not
of
a
you.
lot of
Like,
games
I'm
do
gonna
that,
do the
but those-
like the big, massive magic attack.
Those two games do that really well. Not a lot of
Nice.
games do that, but those two
Yeah.
do it. Really
Definitely.
well.
I like that. I like how it wraps into the, like you
The
said with
lore.
the boxes. The boxes
Oh.
because you can either do your special abilities,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So if you do like the moon sickle attack where you're bouncing off of everything to chip away at those boxes where
Yes.
that has the moons, instead you can absorb as what's her name? Can't remember her name right now. The
Something with a V.
Valaire,
Girl.
Valerie.
yeah,
Valaire?
Valerie, I think. You can actually absorb the mana from her, and then it'll actually count as one of those boxes. So
Yeah.
it's not just the physical
Oh.
attacks, but it actually counts
Because
as those
because
boxes.
it'll
It counts
power
as
up
a
your
magic attack. so to speak.
you've attuned.
Oh, I see. It's a powering.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's attuned to
So
that
like if
magic,
you
that
need
yeah.
like
moon
a
magic or
sun
whatever.
and a
Yeah.
sword attack, you can just
Yep.
absorb it with the guy.
Yeah, you don't have to do
the
this the shooting star or whatever it is. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
you
now you're
can-
getting a free magic and physical attack. You know.
Yes.
Right.
So
that's
I noticed
great.
that.
That's great to know because especially when it's like sun, sword. It's like, well, I
Yes.
can just do, you know,
one.
well, true, yeah. Who's gonna
Yeah.
attack me with whatever special he's got? But
Yeah.
basically, that's what that means. But it's good to know that you could replace. You know, you don't have to do the special if you don't have any.
Yeah.
MP.
Because
whatever.
when they have like 3 of whatever the symbol is, it's like, well, I can't do that 3 times. So but
Right.
then thinking if you're using Zale and then you
Yeah.
absorb that, you can strike. Yeah. So I thought that was actually kind of a nice little like extra thing mixed into the whole
Mhm.
boosting
I li-
thing and the
I
elements.
like it. You know, sometimes it helps that I have the thing equipped where it's like way less damage.
Yeah.
Except there is
Sure.
one person.
Sure.
I think it's the thing that detonates for its special. That one does serious damage even when you have the take less damage equipped. Like it does serious. Like you're in the red damage, and I'm like, God damn it.
Dude, I did get wiped earlier in the game than I expected when that thing that throws the bombs out that hits all 3 of you, and I
Yes,
just could not get the
yeah.
timing on that block.
That one's tough.
Yeah.
That, one's
That
tough.
one wiped me out a couple of times, and so but once I got the timing on the block, it was okay.
Yeah.
But man, that was not.
I'm glad I
easy.
got it on easy mode because that means I'm just loving the game, and I have no
You're not
qualms about.
frustrated.
Yeah, I have no qualms about. Well, I don't want to go explore over there because maybe it's difficult. Like I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, kudos to them for including that in a clever way that doesn't make you feel like, boy, I picked baby mode. You're just like, no, you can equip these
Yeah.
things if you want. They'll help you.
Yes.
Exactly, and I have most of them.
Whereas like
disabled.
Octopath is like we pride ourselves in just being as hard as we possibly can as
Yeah.
you get further into this game.
Good
so.
luck.
Good luck. Yeah. Where in this game they're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want. You know, we're a small team and it's 20 hours. You know, that's what you're gonna get. It's
Yeah.
not 100 hours and most of it is grinding. It's not.
I like
you know,
the world building. They have this like storytelling, Crypt Keeper style, or almost
Yeah.
Kang the Conqueror
Oh, yeah,
style.
yeah, yeah.
Who's like seen
The
everything.
lore girl.
And is it girl or guy? I don't know. But
The
they peek around.
librarian.
They peek around the chair at you, and they're like, "Do you want to hear this story?" All right, I'll tell
Oh,
it to you.
sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about the girl with the pink hair.
No,
That-
she's
Oh,
like the
Teeks.
historian.
Yeah,
Teeks,
yeah,
yeah.
she's the storyteller. Yeah, she's
I,
cool.
I like her
Story.
too. Like her, she's very
Yeah, yeah.
endearing.
I
No,
love when
mean,
she
like,
spazzed out when she met you and she found out your soul
Yes.
destroyers.
I
That was
mean, like
such a
the
funny
narrator
animation.
thing at the
Mhm.
beginning, and then kind of like as the
Yeah.
game
Yeah, over the
you
shoulder.
really care.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're kind of like Kang the Conqueror meets Crypt Keeper a little bit. Like you're gonna like tell us this
Mhm.
tale or whatever. Because you've been to every world and seen everything. Like, oh, this story is interesting. Let me tell you this one. Sit down and listen as I tell you
Yeah.
this one. So
That's
Was he in
that's
the
built-in
messenger?
franchise potential right there.
Yes,
No,
it
we're gonna
is.
tell you a different story. You know,
it's gonna be Sea of something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sea of Planets. I don't know.
yeah.
Sea of Fields.
There you go.
Sea of Fields. There you go.
Starfields.
Well, I was wondering if he was in
the
the messenger because this is supposed to supposedly be within like the universe connected, like
Of that side scroller game?
Well, that was their first game, right? So
I
they
forgot
made
that was
that.
was, yeah.
Yeah, they
It
made
is,
that
I
game.
actually heard that it is supposed to be connected in some way. to
Yeah,
the
they
rest
said
of
it's like
Messenger,
in. Yeah, so I don't know if it's like the same
Oh, that's
world.
interesting.
different
Damn, I
time.
didn't finish that game. I didn't.
I
see
got
the story.
stuck
Yeah.
in that game and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, me too.
But
And
that,
I was
I
in, it
love
was in the
that
middle
game,
of
but
a
it was so
bifurcation.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
After a
Uh,
while, I was like, nah, I'm good. I get what.
But it
they're
was
So
great though. What I played was awesome.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So I'm
is.
wondering if like in a fun way, it's just gonna be like they're gonna make all these different games from different genres, but they're gonna have like all these kind of like little connection. Like maybe the
Yeah,
guy in the
I can
chair
see that.
was in that. I don't know. Like
Maybe it
again,
is the
I-
messenger.
maybe, oh my god, he's a
Oh my
ninja.
God.
I did like the way it peeked around the chair at you though. Like it would say something and
Yeah.
it would like slowly peek around the
You
chair.
want to see?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
this game is just so charming. It's
so good.
it's a love letter to old RPGs, which again, so was Chained Echoes, and so is this. And I love that these games can exist alongside things like Starfield.
Yeah.
Two very different games, but you know, it's
I love that
great.
these games are coming out like, and I'm able to experience what y'all grew up with.
Sure.
In a palatable
Yeah.
way for me. And,
Like
and
modern,
fun
a
way
modern
for me.
telling. of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think those modern aspects knock down a lot of doors for a lot of people. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that
Oh my god.
while those games are made maybe for us, like plenty of people are jumping on board because of their easy access to entry. So
Exactly.
And the way that they're designed are like smarter too. Like I actually just remember because I wanted to mention it. Like I was thinking about it while I was playing. Like even just the way you explore an area is
Dude.
like more accessible and
The
like
map
smarter.
designs. Yeah.
It's smarter. Like the way how like if you do say like a puzzle and you go up to a second floor and you like hit a switch and it like drops or unlocks something on the first floor,
Yeah.
most of the time there's just a ledge that you can just jump right off and you're
Yeah,
back
I
down
love that.
like right
It's-
there. Whereas
I
And
love
this is
finding
my
a hole to
level
jump
of-
down and then you find a chest. It's amazing.
these are the
Yeah.
type of puzzles I like too. Like don't
Yeah.
make them any more complicated than what they are here. You
with
know?
old games you'd have to backtrack all the way
Yeah,
back
yeah.
down, 'cause
Old
it wasn't
games, this
designed
puzzle
that way,
system
you know?
would be annoying. So
Yeah.
It just would be like, oh, look, this ground. If you could jump from a higher level, you might be able to break through this. And then there's a higher level right there that you can just go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And-
Yep.
So I just,
Exactly.
I love-
Yeah. If only there was a switch to open this door. There's like literally a switch right up there. I'm like,
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around this.
I got,
you know?
Yeah.
It's
I
no
got
witness.
A small
you know?
little
Yeah.
feeling of an old school Zelda game when I opened a gigantic chest that gave me a new ability that now I could get through that first dungeon, that mines or whatever. Like
Mhm.
I had just this small little like, ooh, a little bit of Zelda moment there. Like not really. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this game plays like Zelda at all, but like
Sure.
it just had that same
what I
vibe
heard.
of
That's what I heard you said
Yeah.
verbatim.
It's-
and stuff.
it's just like Zelda.
kind of had a diorama look to it as well. So like there's some visual, you know.
there was
I
that
can see
little like kind of link between worlds or whatever. That one, remember that one you can go kind of flat into the 2D.
Link Between Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Between
like
Worlds,
a
yeah.
little element of that where I was just okay, cool. Like I
Yeah.
got this new ability and now I can move these blocks around where I couldn't
Sure.
before. And
So I love that that it's designed that way and it's better for really everyone and it allows people like Jeff who didn't play, you know, those original old type of RPGs that you can
The classics.
appreciate
Yeah.
that vibe and that energy of like what we had growing up, but like better because it's actually designed better and
Right.
this is what I'm hoping for with the Eiyuden Chronicles games. That way everyone
Yeah.
that I keep bugging about the Suikoden games,
yeah,
Eiyuden Chronicles tells a similar to Suikoden type story, but it modernizes the gameplay in
Yeah.
a way that feels more accessible. Man,
Yeah.
like that's why I'm not that upset that this keeps getting pushed back. I'm like, it's okay, get it right and like tell
Yeah.
you know,
Because
do a
those are
good
kind of
version.
hard games that be like you've got to play Suikoden today.
right.
Like if
Right.
you never played it, people are like, I don't know about that.
Like,
I'm like, yeah,
I
I,
would
don't
be
know
like-
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I'd be like, no, you need to because they're perfect. Don't worry about it. They're perfect.
Yeah, right.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
But I hope that a modernized version, like a love letter to these games.
No, it's gonna dust off all the cobwebs that like we don't see because we grew up playing them, but like other people absolutely look at and go, oh, I don't want to deal with cobwebs, you know?
Right. No. Totally agree with that completely. So anyway, yeah, 2 absolutely amazing games. And they both have the word star in them. So sorry, Fall, you're not the word right now we care about. It's star.
Fall.
Yeah. Star that we care about. Those are the main 2 games. There's been a few others that came out this week. Goodbye Volcano High. Our weekly shout out to Gaston for that one.
He is not playing it, you guys. Okay, we need to let this joke die.
What was it last time that we mentioned, and he freaking went all Derek on us? He's like, "What are you guys?"
Smurf Cart. Yeah.
Also, by the way, Gaston, how are you enjoying Smurf Cart? Just let us know in the comments for this.
I know you're in the middle of Volcano High, but just pause that.
Yeah, got him. Oh man.
Let us know.
I'm sorry, Gaston. I tried, buddy.
Jeff, you bought the next 3 things I got on my list. Under the Waves. What do you think of that one so far?
Under the Waves is by I guess a B team, some sort of indie team at Quantic Dream. And it's like it's more like a cinematic, like underwater type of Abzu thing.
A little Firewatchy because you're talking to someone on the radio, but
it's very Firewatchy.
Oh,
you have somebody telling you where to
go.
But it's third
person. So.
It's third person. You have somebody telling you where to go, and you have tools at your disposal that are actually quite interesting. Like you have a sub you can drive around. Like an underground thing.
Are you growing things, right? Are you trying to like?
I haven't even gotten that far because there was a visual quality to the game, at least on PS5, that kind of annoys the hell out of me. So I'm just not tempted to keep playing it at the moment until they patch it. The visuals actually look really, really good. Like stylistically, it's great. It's got this film grain quality that looks outstanding. But there's screen. Is it called screen tearing, where it's like the VSync is not enabled and you just keep seeing lines on the screen?
I think it's
so. It's got that going, and
so
it's really annoying.
Patched.
Yeah, it needs to be patched, and it also, and I don't think this is gonna be fixed in a patch. It's just a low budget thing. His mouth does not match his words at all. Like not even a little bit. Like his sentence will finish, and he's still like. And I'm like, what are you doing?
What is this, 2011?
Yeah.
What is this?
What is this, a Final Fantasy 16 side quest cutscene?
That's so true.
Talk about the game of the year that way.
But I mean, when you look at the character design, you're kind of like, okay, I get it. It's kind of a lower budget design and stuff like that. But the environmental stuff, like especially like when I started swimming, and I only briefly on the way to my main base did I see like a giant whale or something, and I was like, that's really cool. And apparently that is a huge element of the game, is going out and exploring and like discovering these certain types of fish and whales and sharks or whatever, and actually like logging them somewhere on a computer or something like that. So it's a very passive type of game. I don't think there's combat, period. But again, I didn't get very far. I finished the first day. Everything's kind of like the chapters are days.
Okay. Wouldn't it be crazy if it turned into a survival horror game and you didn't know it?
Survival horror.
Yeah, that would be amazing, actually.
But you're like trying to escape a giant kraken or something.
Like, this is getting such crazy good reviews at least by Steam users on the PC version, which is great to hear. But also apparently this is a story about grief. Like the main character has experienced some sort of loss.
Yeah,
and they've only kind of alluded to that a little bit at the beginning, so I haven't really even gotten that far into it to know that part. But I'm eager to go back in when it's like looking. When the fidelity's a little better. That's the thing I'm looking for. Fidelity.
Support small projects from big studios.
Yeah, it's
support them. Yeah, like when Ubisoft used to do those were the most charming games in the entire world, and now we don't get those anymore.
This is one of 2 Quantic Dream
Child
projects.
of Light and
that was a great game.
Not Vagrant. So what was the Valiant?
Valiant Hearts.
Yeah,
Hearts.
Valiant
Thank you.
Hearts.
Yeah. They did
World
quite
War
a few
game,
like great
right?
games.
Yeah, that's the WW1 game.
Oh my gosh, that one's still like I get emotional just thinking about it. Derek. Okay, it's a good game.
You better not be crying, Tim.
It's definitely not one that makes you. I don't think it makes you like. There are some games that could make you cry. This isn't like a shed a tear game. It's more of just like, dude, it just hits you in the gut. Like, oh, that just must be rough.
Yeah.
It's that kind of a thing. But Under the Waves is one I've got on my wish list. But it's one of those things that I know that I'm not gonna get to soon. And $30
end of the year.
Maybe $30. I'm also kind of like, hey, if this will hit like hey, get it for 20 on the sale, I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna
get some.
I would definitely get it on a sale and get it on PC.
I'm gonna get it on Steam. It's on
PC gamers are having better luck.
And I bet you it's a good game on deck too. Is it verified?
Yeah, I would imagine it plays. There's a big diving theme going on this year. I don't know what the deal is, but I imagine it plays very well on the deck because of that. I don't know.
I don't see. Did they remove that from the listing? I don't see it verified or not. Or question.
Hashtag Dave the Diver Game of the
Maybe
Year.
I have to actually look at the store on the
Somebody-
Steam Deck to see if it's.
Somebody said like, somebody made a post on Reddit. Of course, there's a lot of clownery on Reddit when it comes to people being hyperbolic and stuff. But somebody made a post that was like, nothing's come close to Baldur's Gate 3 being Game of the Year, which not a lot of people are going to argue that. But one of the first comments on the thread was like, excuse me, hello, Final Fantasy 16 and Dave the Diver. And
Yes.
the next comment was like,
Yeah,
Dave the Diver. I mean, I like that game, but what are you talking about, bro? Like,
Game of the Year. Game
all-
of the Year.
If someone were to say 2 games, Final Fantasy 16, okay,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm expecting like 4 or 5 other titles.
Zelda.
Yeah,
Right,
Zelda or Star Wars.
Diablo 4 even. The new
Diablo
Star
4.
Wars
Listen, I'm
game.
rooting for Dave. All right.
Yeah, I love
I-
Dave the Diver, man. I
Dave,
love
Dave.
I want a holy
Dave.
diver. I want a holy diver cover, but of Dave the Diver.
Dude, you run a sushi restaurant and go fishing and you're fat. I love that game. It's so
Dude,
good.
so jolly. That game is
representation
so
matters,
jolly.
guys.
It's so good.
Oh,
Um,
man.
It really is jolly. It's the best way to describe it. It's like being on vacation. That's what that game is
Yeah,
like.
yeah. It's a super cozy game too, where it's just like I'm just gonna go kill some fish
Yeah.
and serve some people. It's not a big deal. you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, I feel like I've played that game for, I think it's like probably 14, 15 hours count or something on that game. But apparently there's several chapters that because I haven't really like pushed the progress in that game.
Yeah.
Apparently you really can.
There is a
unlock
lot
all
going
kinds of
on
stuff.
story wise in that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that it's a good story. It's just like it's just wacky and weird.
There's
And
lots
you
of
meet a lot of
chapters.
characters.
Lots
And,
of chapters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know.
Trine 5 came out, a Clockwork Conspiracy. Really gorgeous games, I think, to Trine games, and just in terms of like side-scrolling, colorful fantasy visuals. So gorgeous,
Saturday
maybe
morning cartoon type of vibes too.
maybe gorgeous is the wrong word, but I find it very appealing and like very nice.
I do too. They're definitely that type of flavor of indie where it's like, oh, this feels like a cartoon I used to watch as a kid. Or
Yeah,
whatever. And
yeah.
tonally, it's like that too. The way the characters talk to each other.
Dragon's Lair. It's just kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and this is my first time ever playing one of these, and I didn't know that that's what these type of games were because I've only heard of them in passing, like on Steam
Okay.
sales.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that that's what they were, is like side-scrolling puzzlers. There is some action, but you have to play as the knight to fight people, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess you can shoot arrows as the thief too. But so far I've only done 3 characters. I think there's supposed to be 4.
Because
but
it's
I've
a
only
4-player co-op game, so I think.
Yeah,
so.
it is a 4-player co-op game. So I only have unlocked at least 3 characters, and I played through all of them. Each character so far gets their own introductory level, so you kind of get acclimated to what they do. And man, this game is so freaking cool. Like, I love this game. It's just I'm at the point now where you have to, if you're not playing multiplayer, you have to switch between characters, and like, you know, when you have a certain challenge you need help with, you have to switch and then do the challenge. And it could be something as simple as, oh, I need to throw a rope to that little ring there so I can swing to the next part.
I'm looking at screenshots. This game is so pretty, dude. I love the design.
It's very
of this.
pretty. Yeah, I got it on PC. It looks awesome and full 4K maxed out. It looks great.
It's got 96% positive reviews as of right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you can, by the way, you can get the first 4 games. I'm not suggesting that people should. It's not like you need to catch up, Dan.
Not at all.
But like,
Dan.
Listen.
it's $17 for all 4.
Wow. That feels like a steal. Just based on how the 5th one plays, it feels like a steal.
I have the platinum for one of them. I don't remember. It was easy platinum. I remember like when I was like one of those people. it's like, oh, this is easy platinum.
It's one of those easier puzzlers where like I feel like Kyle, who stepped away because he's probly pooping. Good luck pooping,
Probably.
brother.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
My thoughts are
with your poops.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Poop
get
fall.
But he I feel like he would like this style of puzzles because it's not like I'm looking up a lot of stuff all the time. A couple of times I was like, what does it want me to do now? And it's only because I wasn't observant and I missed a door closing when I moved like a ledge or something.
Okay.
So like I was like, oh, I have to close the ledge when I move over there and then shoot the rope or something so the door opens or whatever. Like you have to figure things out just environmentally, but it's not like so challenging that I'm like, I feel like I'm playing The Witness or whatever. It's
these devs know
it's
how to
not
make
that.
fun multiplayer. They did 9 Parchments too, which was
This is
pretty
clearly
fun.
meant for like family like experience.
Yeah, 9 Parchments was
Nine
kind of a fun little
Parchments? That sounds
Diablo,
familiar.
little Diablo-like torchlight.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
But it's multiplayer centric. The idea is you pick your class. They have very basic skills, and you just run around in an isometric thing. That was 9
That's pretty
Parchments
cool.
too. But
I love how each ability feels so distinct. Like the thief has the bow and arrow with a rope sometimes, so you can attach your rope to things and pull them or whatever. And then you can use your rope to like attach. You can create one of those a rope line or whatever that allows you to platform up to the next area. And sometimes you'll have to shoot the rope thing so it drops something, and like it's just so freaking clever, that stuff. And like the knight is cool too, but he's mostly just a brute that you expect to. He just uses his sword on things. He's kind of like a fat guy, so like he has the option of cannonballing down to the floor, and that allows him in some specific areas on some things, I guess I should say, that allows him to like kind of like propel further into the air. Like he'll jump down. It's almost like a trampoline effect. The wizard is like these are like the only 3 I played so far, but like the wizard is the 3rd one that I played, and he can conjure like bridges and boxes so far out of thin air, and he can I think he can levitate existing items too. So yeah, like, and when you have to navigate around all 3 characters at the same time, that's when I'm like, okay, I might be a little too dumb for this game. But at the same time, I'm still able to figure stuff out. I just need to pause, take a minute, figure it out. It's not a difficult puzzle game. It's very fun and charming.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm very surprised.
You can get Trine 1 through 4 for $17, and then you could get one called the Trine verse, because I guess 9 parchments is in the Trine verse. It's $21 for all 5 of those. So that's not bad on Steam, at least, to get those if you like those kind of games. They compare them. Some people compare them to like some of the Lego games because they're pretty straightforward but fun multiplayer. Yeah. You know, a little repetitive. They're not trying to like break your brain. They're just trying to be fun and kind of visually.
And at least
nice
so far, the levels are kind of short. Granted, those are introductory levels. But there was one walkthrough that I watched, and the guy did not edit anything. He kept every bit of it in where he's like struggling at certain parts. But without the struggle, if you're a genius, I guess, the levels, I guess, aren't that long.
Okay.
So it's not like you're struggling and you're like, okay, well, I'm in a 3-hour level, so what do I do?
Yeah.
At least that's how it struck me so far.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool, and there's various checkpoints too. If you get stuck, just go to the next checkpoint, figure it out later.
Nice.
If you're frustrated.
Nice.
Yeah. All that to say, Trine 5 is a game of the year, and Kyle missed all that.
Oh yeah, he made a good case.
That I walked away because I literally couldn't care less about that game. So. There's nothing on this earth that could get me to get.
I think Derek saw it on the notes, and that's why he's playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, confirmed, as opposed to being here with us. I saw it on Steam. He's playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now.
I was gonna cut out and play Starfield, but he beat me to it. So
yeah, that's all right. Those are 2 games I totally get why you would not be here to play those instead. Same as Sea of Stars. Gosh dang it, this is a crazy year. And then some DLC called Dimension Shell Shock came out for TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Yeah. This looks awesome. I really want to try this. It's just one of those things where I got to be like, all right, when am I going to carve out time for this? Exactly. I guess this will be a fun, like, because my kids and I played through this last year. We played through, and it's not a super long game. Played multiplayer and beat the game. Super fun. Looks amazing. But do I have time to dive back into this? Maybe. But did anyone try it?
Right? I bought it, installed it on Switch because the last time I beat it was on the Game Pass, and I was like, you know what, this is a Switch game. I'm ready for this to be. I'm ready to get this on the Switch. So I got it on the Switch, and it's not that expensive right now. The DLC is like $7, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick it up next week, and I'll probably beat it next week too. So I just
it's a one sitting beat it type situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I be honest? I'm a huge Turtle fan. I don't know who this rabbit character is. So
I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
they made her
like
up.
An action figure that I recognize.
Must be a much newer character.
Definitely not in the movie. Definitely not in Mutant Mayhem. I don't.
Like I've seen this action character, but maybe I'm picturing something.
Maybe you're right. I do remember there being other. I mean, that's the whole thing is anthropomorphic.
Yeah, exactly.
Things.
Yeah.
It's
been around for a long time. So
well, hold on, dude. Let me tell you something about
the mosquitoes. Yeah. The fly. You got the fly. He's coming in with Ice Cube's voice.
It says it's a steely rabbit samurai. I swear I've seen this rabbit samurai action figure. It looks so familiar to me.
What's his
new?
Yeah, what's his name?
Usagi and Karai. So you've got this Usagi. I think is the. I don't recognize the girl with the chain.
I'm just excited to play more of this game because it was such a great game last year. It was like a game. It was in my top 10 at least, I think. So
Usagi looks so familiar to me. Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, it's saying he's the main protagonist. Is the main protagonist of the Usagi Yojimbo comic book series. So I don't know if there was like a spin-off.
Yojimbo, I wonder where they got that name from.
1987.
Wow, that's an old ass
Yeah.
So
character.
actually, I'm looking it up now, and he makes his debut in the second season of 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. He's voiced by Jason Griffith.
So it's like the new generation of TMNT fans that would be
so
like,
like,
oh, I know who that is.
Miyamoto Usagi is used as a character name across multiple different mediums and things and properties. This rabbit character for TMNT was created in 2003.
It looks like it was also in a couple of video games, like an appearance in a couple of video games, not a lot.
So yeah, I'm not familiar with any of this new
Battle
age
Nexus?
TNT stuff. So no wonder I don't recognize them. But
I'm only
he looks
familiar
cool.
with, the 90s movies with the creepy costumes.
Yeah, and the one that like
Splinter.
90s and 80s comic books and toy
Yeah.
runs and stuff like that.
The
Like,
show,
Alright.
the same show.
I just looked it up. There are absolutely action figures of this character. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what I remember saying. Okay, I'm not crazy.
No, of course
All
not.
right.
They
Guys,
action figure everything.
yeah, I
did
mean
it.
TMNT is action
We
figure
did it,
central.
everybody. We did it. All right, let's jump into
We
some.
did it.
Let's jump into some headlines because I got to tell you, I've got three absolutely talk about being overwhelmed. 3 games that you start out and you're so overwhelmed, and even as you're playing, and you're like, I just feel like I'm not experiencing everything I need to. I feel like I'm way behind. I've got Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, and Starfield that I'm trying to play through, and now freaking Sea of Stars, which now that we've talked about it, I'm like, I think I want to play that tonight instead. So like,
It's a hook. It gets a hook in you really easily.
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't touched Armored Core since Sea of Stars came out, so
I'm glad I didn't buy
As
it.
you
I was
shouldn't. That
I was
game's
really close
trash.
to buying Armored Core because we were on the verge of all
so
these.
hard.
I'm really glad that I held off.
Hard core.
I wish I would have gone with my gut and held
It
off,
is hard,
but
yeah.
But you didn't, and here we are. That's all right.
I
It's
didn't
fine.
because I can't and I won't.
'Cause I,
Yeah,
and, I don't,
exactly.
and I don't
That's
have
me with,
regrets
like,
except for all the
every-
regrets
there's-
that I
I
have.
have every regret, but I'm not feeling them or voicing them. Except that I am, but I'm not.
But at the same time, yeah, you don't feel it deep down in your soul. So like, there's, I think PAX or something is happening right now or last
Yeah.
week,
PAX
and
West.
Okay.
and all of these
Nice.
indies keep announcing new dates for October, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Stop it.
I
What-
don't have
what do you-
time, but I'll still buy it. I'll
Yeah.
still buy it. I'm an idiot,
I know. And it
I'll
got
always
that,
convince myself it's an indie game. I can sneak it in. You
got that
can't.
Wandering
No.
Sword game coming
You
out.
Never
can't.
gonna happen. Wandering Sword.
Yeah, Wandering Sword,
it's in a
which looks
week,
like a
couple
big
weeks.
RPG. Like,
Yeah.
when am I gonna have time to play that?
Yeah.
In between
Ugh.
payday, like what am I? Come on, get out of here with that.
All right, we got some headlines to get through here. Number one, most importantly, Imagine Dragons has recorded an official
Oh, hey, I don't
song
care,
for
I'm gonna walk away. I'll
Starfield.
be back. I'll be back.
Starfield song.
Thank you. Yeah.
Dan's out. So yeah.
Sorry, I was
gu-
just
I guess
busy
you-
imagining there were no Imagine Dragons. It was a hell of a world.
I think we've talked about this before, where they are the kind of music that AI would create. If we were like, hey, create some kind of like poppy rock song for us that has a similar vibe to every other song ever written, and AI would
You
be
don't
like,
have to imagine me leaving because I just did. So
AI, I think, would make Imagine Dragons. I think Imagine Dragons might be the first AI band. We just don't know it. It's possible.
It's entirely possible.
Have
It
you
could
ever
be.
met Imagine Dragons? That's
I
what
Exactly.
haven't. I haven't been in
But
the same room.
That's
with
why
them.
Imagine's in the first
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Dude.
We
They're
Alex
imaginary.
Jonesed our way through this one, guys. Good job.
they're imaginary.
Imagine dragons with the black helicopters in the sky.
Although I think Rob
Hey,
McElhenney
hey,
must be
hey,
in on it because he's in the
frogs.
music video for something, isn't he? I think
Gay
Ro-
frogs.
Rob McElhenney, I think, is in one of the music
Dude,
videos. So like, he's in
Is
on
he
it.
really?
He's in on
Yeah.
the.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
he's like
gosh.
shirtless with the
I'm
guy.
so
Like it's all played
disappointed.
for laughs. Like it's funny. Like good
Yeah.
for him. Like it was funny, but like,
But it's still a shitty ID song in the background. So
yeah, come on.
sorry, Gaston. Like I know you like this song and this.
And I
band.
know they're popular because we
I'm
wouldn't
sorry,
see them all
buddy.
the time if they weren't.
Hey.
So,
If
if
I had only heard one or two of their songs, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of catchy for a commercial or whatever. I wouldn't have thought twice about it. But I feel like they're kind of forced down our throats too much at this point.
Yeah.
It's like,
Thunder.
Wasn't it like early 2000s where like every video game trailer was Imagine Dragons?
I don't
Might-
think they came out till the 2010s.
No, they were
Yeah, I think it
2010.
was the
That's a 2010s
2010s.
band.
All right, so
So,
then
like,
mid-
Maybe
they-
you're thinking of like
they're-
Creed.
Their
I don't know why.
Believer song was there for the
Please
big
no.
first Switch
Please no.
reveal, and I thought that's a cool song. I didn't know this, but that Believer song, when it first hit, I didn't know much about the band, and it was that Switch trailer when it was first announced. I remember being like, dude, this is awesome. At least that's in my mind. I think it was the Switch trailer.
Sure.
I remember thinking, this is super cool. But then the more I listened to it, I was like, this is not cool.
No.
Radioactive. Isn't that them? Radioactive.
Radioactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was like their first big song.
Yeah,
right?
you-
Hmm.
Kill me. Please kill me.
That was, they used it to bring out every speaker in conferences. Was the
right.
Radioactive song.
Maybe that's what
Which
I'm
is
thinking.
weird. Like, you're saying he's toxic? Like, I don't like. Well, I don't understand
Full
why
of
people use
radiation,
because
like-
people did use that for
Yeah.
walk-ons for many things. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
It was the intro for everybody.
What,
Whatever.
the Thunder song is the other one, and I freaking hate that song so freaking much, dude.
I've only heard you reference this song. I've never heard it.
Thunder.
Are you talking about
The
ADP?
thunder.
No,
Yeah.
I've only heard people
I've heard it.
say what you're doing right now, but I've never heard the
Thunder.
song.
That's
Only
that's
heard
literally the
people-
chorus. It's like
Yeah.
thunder. Feel the thunder. That's it.
Y'all
That's
are
it.
y'all
I
are
don't want-
shaving years off the back end of my life right now. Years.
Please
Let
make it
me
stop.
play
More minutes we
Starfield.
spent. I feel like that.
Hold on.
That
I know
that
this is
planet
out of
in-
context
that
and it's not
planet
fair.
on Interstellar, where like every 5 minutes it's like 14 real
Yeah.
human years. Every second y'all talk about this band, like it's
Hold on.
14 years. I'm not
Yeah,
getting
we're
back.
we're
This
dying
is the
on the
last
inside.
thing I have to do, and it's read the lyrics for Thunder, the
Okay.
chorus
Oh my
of Thunder,
God.
out of
Why are
context.
we doing
Yeah.
this?
Here we
Obviously,
go.
that's
Yeah.
not the greatest thing
Here
to
we
do.
go.
Let's
No
do it.
musician wants their lyrics read out of context without the music.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Every-
anyway, here we go. Here's the chorus. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning, then the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning, then the thunder. Thunder,
Mm.
thunder.
It's
Thunder.
scientifically accurate.
It's true.
You-
You see the lightning,
You are giving the
Yeah,
and then you
turned
feel
around.
the
It's
thunder.
counted at 180 on this band.
He's
I
like,
love this band. Gaston, let's go to see them live.
Oh,
Lightning,
wait,
then the
do we
thunder.
learn science with this band? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. First, the
Radiation.
Magnet
You learned
songs
about
by
radiation.
Insane Clown
It
Posse.
sounds
now
like
this,
the
you know?
lyrics for a
Take
toddler
us.
song my kids would listen to learn something. Like, oh,
I feel like
First
to
light,
me,
then-
and I don't mean to harp on this band. I'm sorry, fans who are listening
you
or
do.
whatever.
yeah, you do.
But like for me, it's like a
I
starter
do.
pack, like indie rock band. It's like you want to get into indie rock. Here's kind of like a bad representation of that. So everything you're gonna listen to afterwards is just better in that genre.
To me, it's just radio music, and I to me, that's like the most mainstream garbage. Like, I just don't like radio music. Like,
Yeah.
and radio.
Yeah,
I mean, who
no.
listens to radio anymore,
dare
right?
you.
I haven't
Or-
listened to terrestrial radio in
I'm
a
just
long
kidding.
time.
I think
so I
there's-
don't even know what's
I
on
haven't
it.
listened to. I used to listen to pop radio all the time to kind of keep up with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now I found this local channel. Ever since they played my music, they're the only channel that I listen to because they play North Texas indie rock,
Ah,
and
okay.
they mix that in with like old like David Bowie and stuff like that. They mix in with good classic rock.
Okay.
David
Yeah.
Bowie.
I can get down with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's a lot worse music out there. It's just
True.
the level of popularity and how much they're used in everything and in corporate everything. That's a little bit.
So
gross.
Tim, don't let me put words in your mouth, but would this be the avatar of bands?
This might be the Avatar.
even
it might even be on the
Finish
Avatar
it.
2
Finish it.
soundtrack, and we just
Dude.
didn't even know it. You know,
This might be on the
Water.
Avatar bands.
feel the
Wait, is
water.
this the Snyder cut of music?
Is this the
because it's-
Zack Snyder
Dude,
of
They have recorded the entirety of the Rebel Moon soundtrack. I can put your bets in. I can guarantee that's what happened. Zack Snyder and this band go hand in hand. They got to, right?
If
Oh,
they have a
there seems
song on
like
the
a lot of Imagine
soundtrack,
Dragons music in
if
that
they have a song
movie,
on the
for
soundtrack,
sure.
I'm gonna die. That'll be so fun.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, and I'm gonna ask you to buy me lottery tickets because I'm like, how'd
Right.
you called this, man?
All right, let's keep
The
going
vibes.
here. Super Mario Brothers Wonder had a direct that aired this past week where they showed a bunch of new
Stuff.
levels, world maps, characters, story, LOL, multiplayer modes. New
Sure.
powers were detailed, which were really cool. Like the elephant stuff looks like a blast. It looks awesome. And the characters, I liked how they introduced those. You got your standard, Mario, Luigi, Toad, Princess, but then you've got I forget the name of the little guy, the little chomper dude that you can be. He's like a little thief. You can be him, or you
Yeah.
can be Yoshi, and those characters are all kind of like easy modes, like Funky Kong
yep.
in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Huh.
Extra life and like just easier to survive. So it's an excellent solution for when a parent especially or an older sibling is playing with a younger sibling who can barely knows how to hold the run button while moving. You know what I mean? So it's
Wife
great.
that's bad at platformers.
Well, I wasn't gonna say it, but
I mean, I should say
um,
my wife is platforms.
but yeah, so it's a nice solution for that. But man, this game just looks like a trip, like literally a trip, because you take this wonder flower and all of a sudden everything becomes like you're on LSD.
That's called ayahuasca. A flower that makes you trip. That's ayahuasca. Thanks,
yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah, thanks,
just
Nintendo.
straight up said, talking to
Thanks,
their
Nintendo,
glowing
for
frog.
teaching kids about how
Yeah.
cool hallucinogenic plants can be.
And then you have to take a seed to make it all shut back down. So there's some kind of like antidote to your trip that you have to
Right,
find.
right.
That
But
sounds like
anyway,
So
Right.
into this.
Alright.
I'm so into this.
yeah. But the levels, of course, again, it looks like they've taken some of the best ideas that people have come up with from the Mario Maker games and they put them into this game because it just looks so inventive and funny, and the little flowers that are talking to you, which by the way, you can mute. There's an option that someone spotted in the
just
screenshots.
sounds like just such a regular Joe out of nowhere. You're just playing this
know.
Mario game. He just goes wahoo and stuff like that.
Or
And this guy's like, "Hey, what's up?" Like,
Yeah, he'll be like, "Hey, I wonder if you can get up there," and it's like, "Oh, maybe I can." Like, there's those. It's like they're just chatting with you, which is kind of funny to me. But you can mute them. Like, I guess the idea is that like these could be annoying for some people, and they're like, "I don't want these games to talk to me." So like, all right, you can turn those off.
I just can't enjoy this game until I know AI is not doing Mario's voice, or I'm out, guys. I'm out.
Yeah, I can't promise you that at this point. I can't promise you. But I can promise you that there is a bright red version of the Switch coming out. So the Switch OLED Mario Red Edition is launching on October 6th, and it is super, super red. The dock is red. The two controllers are red.
And they put it on a red background when they took a picture of it.
Yeah, it's very
aggressive.
Red.
So much red.
So I don't mind that. I feel like the dock could have had like a big Mario M or a cap, or at least his face
or something.
Yeah, a mustache would have been great.
On the back of it, right?
Just like, red, just really red.
Just
I like
red.
the red for the console itself, not the dock, because I think the all white console gets really dirty. I think dirty little grubby hands that make it so dirty. The OLED white. Yeah.
I think they do have like behind the little back cover. There's like a secret level with they put like coins or something on the back.
Coins and a couple little like decals on it, but it's on the back. It's like cool.
On the back, yeah.
Thanks,
now,
guys.
if they had put coins and Mario on the actual front of the dock, that could have been really neat. Because, like, I love the Tears of the Kingdom OLED. Like, the way that design looks on both the Switch, whatever, Joy-Cons and the dock looks awesome. I love it. It's my favorite thing. But anyway, that's arriving on October 6th.
That had to be the easiest design in the entire world, though. Oh, what do you think for this one? Oh, I don't know. Red. Anything else? Nah, that guy's on vacation. Just put it all red.
Red, lunch.
Yeah. Are you sure he didn't mean anything else? It just says red. He's like, hey, just do what it says, you know?
I don't know, man. He's the genius.
Yeah, it's all red.
He's the genius.
All right, guys.
It's like somebody renaming Twitter to X. Like, only a genius would do that.
We might need to bring Jimmy back for this one.
Oh, okay. Want Jimmy back?
Can you tell him to stop playing Starfield for a moment to bring him back?
Tell him to pause Starfield on his PS4.
VR Jimmy.
Because the PlayStation Plus subscription prices are increasing up to 35% starting this week. So here's the prices. Oh, there. Phil, that's Phil as he's getting Starfield and Jimmy doesn't have it. That's what that is. So PlayStation Plus Essential. It used to be $60 a year. It's now going to be $80 a year. So keep in mind these are annual prices. So spread out over a year. It's not crazy. PS Plus Extra used to be $100 a year. Now it's $135. And then PS Plus Premium used to be $120 a year, and now it's $160. That's a pretty significant hike there. Of course, fans aren't loving this change. Even people who are diehard Sony fans have to, if they're being honest, be pretty annoyed with this. This is a pretty significant price increase. But it has helped their share prices. Those have jumped up significantly, like their biggest increase in a little while. So, I guess investor-wise, that's strong. But
great for you know what? Good job, investors. I'm so happy for you. I'm very excited for you investors.
Yeah. Now, I was able to do I did the thing before it launched last year where if you get PS Now and PS Plus and kind of do the merging thing and you like buy a year or more ahead of time, you could get a lower price at first. So I had done that last year, and it just kind of merged into PS Plus Premium, and I paid like half of what you normally pay. But then it renewed this year. I actually kind of forgot about it, and it renewed in the spring at the same price. So last year and this year I paid $60 and got PS Plus Premium for a full year, and it's telling me I'm going to be billed again $60 next spring. So if that price stays the same, I'll keep it because you get premium. That GIF is making me dizzy. But
it's very active. Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, that's expensive though. I mean, I would not spend $160 a year for, at least for me personally. I don't use it enough to get the kind of value out of it. I know that there's value there. It's just not the value that I'm finding.
If they're gonna start, if that's what they're gonna be charging, there needs to be some significant changes. They need to
probably some significant games. Like Sea of Thieves even is like, hey, that's cool to get that free like on that service, but like it needs to be more substantial at that price, in my opinion.
Yeah, you need to be having like I think the next God of War would have to release day and date, just like they do on Game Pass with newer games, right? Things like that.
For 160 a year, I think so.
Yeah. And like
is this
maybe
allowed? Are we allowed to be saying negative things about this?
Yeah.
Will Sony fans like be mad?
don't mind Jimmy
let me
here.
pause.
Don't mind
Let me
Jimmy
pause the recording here for this part.
Awesome. Yeah, they're gonna need to like start actually putting out like more like Legend of Dragoon took how long to get on this new premium?
It came out a
PlayStation
mess,
Plus?
didn't it? It came out like a mess.
But there was a little bit of there was kind of an issue. I forget if it was the frame rate or whatever. There was like a little bit of a hiccup.
It was the frames. I think you're right. Yeah.
But they fixed it. They actually fixed it fairly quickly.
Okay,
to be
well, that's
fair.
good. Okay.
But yeah, like that took that should have been like one of the first things on there. They literally own the rights to the game. It was made by what was it? Japan Studios or whatever it was, which now no longer exists, which is bullshit. So like stuff like that is like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you doing over there? Like that game should have been one of the first games. Like that would have been amazing having released that when the new tiers of PlayStation Plus came out. So they need to be giving us more. PlayStation 3 games need to be download as well. None of this streaming nonsense.
I'm actually in if
I'm
they
on board
go
with
download.
that.
Yeah.
None of that streaming nonsense. Like give people the option, that's fine, but like it needs to be download as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I think they and I feel like we're all pretty plugged into what each service has to offer across Nintendo, Xbox,
I'm
and
part
PlayStation.
of all three, you know, like, yeah.
So
I think a lot of us are even.
Even with how plugged in we are, we talk every week about this, including like almost every day on our Facebook chat about all this stuff. I still don't know that I could clearly define for someone what the difference is between each tier. Clearly, like
not for PlayStation. Not off
I
the
know
top of
you
my
get
head.
I know you get access to more with each tier. That's kind of a gift. I get it. Like there's access to more, whether it's classics or some games you wouldn't normally.
Yeah.
I just don't remember what's what.
I think like the
why.
second tier is the PS3 games, and the third tier is like your free games like Sea of Stars and that cat game
Like
that everyone loved.
Stray.
And, yeah, sure.
And then that
yeah.
Meet Your Maker one that came out.
Yeah, Legend of Dragoon, you know, stuff like that. I think like that. If I had to take a crack right now, what the three tiers were, I'm sure there's more things too. But
because someone else on the devil's advocate side would say, well, you spend more than that a year on Game Pass Ultimate, which I would respond with, that's true. And I very clearly know what I'm getting with that. I get access and cross save across my PC and Xbox, and it's day and date for brand new releases. And not even just Xbox releases. They'll make deals with all kinds of other developers to release their game day one on Game Pass.
Sea of Stars, baby.
Well, that's on PlayStation Premium too, right?
Yeah, it is.
Never mind, baby.
Woo!
Yeah. But so you're getting so much more with Microsoft's like deal, new stuff at least. You know, I know everyone's like, you have all the PS3 games.
If you're not getting that much more, if someone were to like have a big spreadsheet and break it all down, okay, they're just not communicating that very well then, because I don't feel like I get the vibe that there's a lot that I'm missing out on by not using that service.
Yeah, I have the lowest tier on PlayStation, and I'm totally happy with that.
Yep, same.
I'm not looking to upgrade. None of it's alluring to me. Like it'd be cool to play PS3 games, but I'm not streaming them. Sorry, I can feel the latency. I guess that's my that's my 30 frames per second argument, where it's
also they don't have the PlayStation 3 games I care about. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 isn't on there.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Like
that's the only reason I want to play.
Exactly. That's the one game that I still feel like I'm missing.
The one game that was literally built on the cell processor. You can't freaking play. Like Jesus Christ.
Hey, Volume 2, guys. Fingers crossed. Volume 2.
Oh
the
man.
collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, let's keep
good
going.
until 2025. By the way, so I paid way ahead
for premium.
So I'm good for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
So. And that's when they'll finally start adding games day and date.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The PlayStation Portal got a release date for November 15th. It's that kind of remote play device they're putting out for $200 for folks. Although I did this week figure out I had never really looked at it, but I know on the Steam Deck it took me like 15 minutes maybe to go in there and I just followed instructions. Download an app, run a bunch. You have to type in a bunch of things you have to run, which I don't know what this means. I just copied what someone else already did. Sure. And it works. So now I can remote play my PS5 on my
That's cool.
Steam Deck. Not that I'll do that a ton, but if I ever needed what the PlayStation Portal is saying it'll do, at least I have something that'll do it, and I don't have to spend $200.
It's a 1080p screen, which is the same. What you're missing out on the haptic feedback. That's about it.
That's really the main difference. Yeah. And it doesn't. I mean, that device does look pretty slick. Like the look of the PlayStation Portal, it looks pretty sleek, like a Sony device. But
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not $200 for me. We already talked about that though. Final Fantasy 16 is getting a free update. I don't know what's in that update, but I did see an announcement that PC version and more DLC are both in development. I did see that.
Yeah, they I didn't check out the exact details, but I saw images. There some skins, that's part of the free drop update that I put in there. Clive and Jill and Torgal. They got some extra skins, which actually look pretty rad. I saw some pictures of it, and they actually look pretty cool. So that was part of the free thing. But yeah, the PC version, them actually saying like, yes, we are doing that, is pretty awesome. And I'm curious to see what the 2 DLCs will be. So.
Like, why are we talking about a year-old game? Because that's literally what it feels. How long it came out to me.
It feels like
it really does feel that way to me.
Like, didn't we already decide last year that
even mentioning
that like 16? Oh, that was this year. Oh, God.
Octopath and Dead Space and Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah, well, even when you bring up like Resident Evil, remember when we played Resident Evil 4? Completely remade from the ground up. I'm like, I completely forgot we did that.
I can guarantee you, my 10 is like, when it comes to the end of the year, I'll have that type of game where it's like Octopath Traveler 2 came out this year, and I'm like, son of a. I have to rework my entire 10. I forgot.
Right. Pause the show.
You're really gonna need to have like a spreadsheet and like really dissect the whole thing.
Pretty much. I use a website. Yeah.
Star Wars is on solid ground of being forgotten completely. You know, we're like, that game came out. That exists. You know.
Yeah.
And not because of any reason other than like it's just the mind is so preoccupied with things that have come out.
What's a bummer for me is that too many people have. Oh, yeah, that game was a mess when it released. They have that as the subtitle for that game, which to me is totally inaccurate. Like, that is an amazing follow-up to an already amazing game, but whatever. That's just the way it goes. Saints Row developer Volition's been shut down suddenly and kind of surprisingly. So this
you suck, Embracer.
Here's one part of the statement they released says, this past June, Embracer Group announced a restructuring program to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry. And as part of this program, blah, 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 they decided to close Volition immediately, and they're going to be trying to help.
Does Gearbox owned by Embracer? Gearbox?
I'd be hard-pressed to find a developer that is not owned by Embracer at this point.
Yeah,
true.
At this point, like, so how big of a studio? Not that Volition's the biggest studio in the entire world, but like, should big studios be worried that are owned by them right now? You know, like,
yeah, they do own Gearbox.
I mean, someone like Gearbox, who's great. That's not going anywhere. Maybe it's a bad example, but like, are they worried? You know.
If I'm owned by Embracer, I'm worried.
I'm worried, right?
Volition's been around for what, 30 years?
They've been around forever, and it got I know it got sold and kind of stripped down and then restructured and all that stuff, but it's like, you know, it was like as big as a deal when Midway died. You know, it's just like, oh, that's been around forever, and like you're just letting this like really well-known studio just die. Its legacy
the whole brand
and everything
is just gone,
and it's like they closed down overnight. Like it is, like all of their social media is so sad, dude. Like it's just like reading all this is just it's awful.
Yep, that's a real bummer. Street Fighter 6 is getting.
I'm just looking through like who they own, and I'm like, oh my god, they own.
Hey, remember that Deus Ex game we were all
guys,
excited about? That's not
Crystal Dynamics.
They own Flying Wild Hog, who makes some great indies and stuff.
Don't they own Crystal Dynamics?
Yeah,
they scooped up all
You're not getting that. That's not happening.
IO, right? IO, the ones who did Hitman.
Yeah, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Yep. See, this is when an actual mature conversation can be fine about like the idea of Xbox buying Bethesda and Blizzard Activate. It's like that's when it's like you got this big boy buying this thing, and it's like, all right, if like they do something wrong, it's like, is that, you know, gun to the head, boom, they're gone. Like,
right,
you know, it's like you
Xbox thankfully hasn't gutted anybody yet. You know what I mean?
Sure,
but like Embracer's just gutting folks right now.
If Embracer had owned Arcane and they released Redfall, they would have fired everyone.
EA did this too back in the day, where it's like they bought everybody and like started gutting studios. You know,
dude, Dead Space, right?
A lot of people absolutely. A lot of people say that like BioWare's downfall is because of EA's purchase. You know, like it's just like the same thing with Blizzard. Look at Blizzard and Activision. Once they merge, it's like suddenly Blizzard used to make the greatest games of all time, and now they make Overwatch 2. You know what I mean?
Was EA's
like Diablo
first
4 was their first win in a long time? You know,
was EA's first big BioWare thing? Was that Anthem? They tried to make it real like pay as you go.
It was during Mass Effect, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were still getting good stuff for a bit, but at some point you started realizing, hey, EA's
The EA
killing this company.
tendrils. The EA tendrils burn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
New
The
DLC
stuff with Embracer reminds me of like when Discovery bought Warner Media.
Yeah.
And everybody was just kind of like focusing on Disney buying Fox and totally forgot that, Discovery could totally ruin Warner Media like they're doing.
They did.
All
Good
the
job.
HBO stuff. Like, this is what happens, guys, when you just kind of don't pay attention. Like,
it's all right. AI is
What
going to
can we
make
do,
everything
really?
for us.
You know?
We'll be
What
fine.
can we do?
Dudesy's going to fix all our problems.
Dudesy's going to make it all. Street Fighter 6 has a new DLC character coming out at the end of this month, September 27th. It's Aki or AKI. I don't know who that character is, but
Probably I don't know. Sounds
arriving at the end of this month. I know we don't always love rumors around here, especially ones that have been brought up before, but Beyond Good and Evil could have a re-release, not the sequel, but a re-release because of its 20th anniversary. And this is because the U.S. Entertainment Software Ratings Board has classified the unannounced game, and they classified it as Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, which, by the way, this is the 20th anniversary.
Well, that's cool because I've been wanting to play that. Yeah.
And it's listed as PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch. Don't know if that's actually going to happen, but when it gets ESRB rated, that's usually a pretty good sign. Oh, they're just going to re-release this as like a 20th anniversary edition. They'll maybe up-res it or something, and then
I will say that game is great, but it did come from an era of 3D action games that did not age well at all, like in terms of mechanics and controls and stuff.
So
hopefully that comes with
hopefully
maybe
something.
like remapping of buttons and everything kind of feels better and stuff like that.
Hope
That'd
so.
be nice.
I hope so. Or it's just going to be like, oh, that's kind of a cool throwback if you already love it, but maybe don't.
Right.
I did like the photography elements of that game too. That was kind of fun.
Cool.
But,
you gotta take pictures. I'm out. Don't want to take pictures.
That's what it is.
It's kind of. She has a camera. That's kind of.
Yeah, she is a like journalist or photographer or something. Yeah. Getting the scoop on something.
A couple delays. Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters were delayed till 2024. Of course, using the very standard. We need additional time to make sure that quality, performance, and gameplay experience is what our users deserve. So whatever.
I know that like. That's bittersweet for you, Tim, but I mean, I'm sure you're not hurting in this year, like
it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It does raise my expectations a tad. I'm like, what else are they doing to this? They announced it just about a year ago,
sure,
which means they were working on it before then because they had a trailer for it. So they've been working on it for multiple years. What are they doing to this thing? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where my mind goes.
Well, you know how these things are. They announce things too early, and
these are massive games.
I mean, maybe they added like rewind, fast forward. Those new features that like Final Fantasy VII got.
Quality of life stuff, and it could also just be like, hey, these are really big games with tons of environments and tons of characters, and so getting the visuals on this remaster right is just taking us a long time. It could literally be as simple as that.
It's also Konami, so there's always
there's like
just
two people
automatic
working on
concern.
Yeah.
Well, there's two people working on it, and just concern.
Well, they're working on it in a closet with like no real budget too.
No internet.
They're on a rotation. They get to work on the game.
There's signs that say no Kojima.
Then they have to go back over to the Plinko machines to put the little pegs on the Plinko.
That's what they do.
That's how they have to get to their office.
It's actually just Kojima's face, Kyle, but with the circle and the line.
No, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't say anything. It's just his face, Ghostbuster sign.
Forget how they say no in Japanese, but it's that word.
Right.
So, drawn out. And
RoboCop Rogue City might be a good game based on some trailers we've seen. It might not, but it might be. I have no idea.
Hands-on impressions at Gamescom were very positive, and everything I heard about it sounded very boring to me. But
you're just OP the whole game and barely take damage.
Well, that
sounds fun for like 2 levels, but like if there's no variety.
Well, it got delayed, and I don't know if it's because of feedback they're getting, but they were targeting June 2023, then they pushed that back to September, so it should be coming out this month. They just now kind of seems like quietly delayed it to November because it doesn't say it in the trailer. It just says in the description of the trailer they released that reinforcements arrive November 2nd.
Right.
So
they before they'd only been announcing it release months. And so this is the first time they've ever put a hard date on it, which means it's probably still eligible for a delay.
Yeah.
It's probably going to get delayed.
The delay czar is not buying this at all. He doesn't think this is arriving in 2023.
Just using delay logic, when you put a date on it, that means you got at least 2 more
delays. My powers do
Oh,
not reach the games I don't care about. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
Totally
I'm blocked out, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I love the idea of playing an OP RoboCop and like the AI deaths being similar to how comically violent they are in the movie.
If so many people are saying positive things, it's probably good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something there, right? So it might be worth keeping an eye on for sure.
Just also depends on the asking price at launch too. Like if it's over 30,
Yeah.
I'll have a hard time justifying.
To me, when I saw the first trailer for this, I go, "Oh, this is like that Terminator game no one gave a shit about like a year ago."
Oh my, yeah.
True.
True.
Actually,
I get some vibes like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but again, the buzz has been positive. So maybe
And they
everybody
brought
who
back-
got hands on it knows something that I can't convey.
They actually
or
brought in
understand.
Alex Murphy to do it too, or not Alex Murphy, the actor who played him, Peter Weller. They brought him in
cool.
to voice the character
that's
again.
cool.
Which is
Yeah, good
like,
for
Oh, they didn't
well,
bring in
somebody
Joel
cares.
Kinnaman? That's weird.
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman's my RoboCop, so
He's
No.
my Robocop.
Hashtag
that's
not my.
true. I hate that movie, and I think Joel Kinnaman is one of the most boring people on the face of the
I don't
planet.
know how that guy keeps getting rolled.
That guy is a wet paper bag actor.
His uncle works for
It's so
something
boring.
important or something.
So
Can I
boring.
spoil? Has everybody here seen the? I'm just caring about everybody here. Has everybody here seen the new the Suicide Squad from a couple of years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So audience, I'm just gonna spoil it, but I was just so thrilled when he died. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you,
He's
Peter
so
Baker.
boring. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Yeah.
I know it was a
Like the
noble
girl
death,
who
but,
talks
like,
to rats is cooler than you.
Yeah.
Like that's
the
crazy.
polka dot guy is
The guy
cooler
made
than
a polka
you.
dots is cooler. Like,
Nathan
Yeah.
Fillion's character, who can come apart into pieces for no reason, he's much
Everybody
better.
in that opening sequence
Yeah.
was more interesting than you. You know.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
agree. All right, let's get to some quick hits and wrap this thing up. Kyle, we'll start with you this week. What have you been playing or watching outside of what we've already talked? And if you have anything, if you don't, that's fine too. What do you got?
I have not been playing anything really, except for the games that we already talked about. I do not have a list of games that I'm going to scream no at, but maybe I'll do that again at some point. There's plenty of
we
Game
have to
Pass
bring that
games.
back. Yeah, we do have to bring that back.
Scream no.
Yeah,
That
there's
was
plenty
money.
of Game
That was a
Pass
money
games for me
segment.
to scream at. So the only things I'll just rattle off a couple things real quick. I'm still watching the Rurouni Kenshin remake anime. So it's the really
that is
famous anime from like back in the day, completely remade, redrawn, revoiced, and everything like that. Kind of feels like a Dragon Ball Z Kai, where they're cutting out a lot of the fluff and stuff like that. Again, like the first like half of this show run is like the best anime ever, or one of them.
Yes.
You can never watch the back half. It doesn't matter. That stuff is garbage. Who cares? But so I'm really excited to see kind of that story again in this new animation. And it's like really historically accurate in terms of like what the laws were at that time for like swordsmen while the raising Magi government was coming into power. So it's a nice little history lesson. It's a nice little slice of like what it was like to live back then. That it's not flashy fighting, no one's using magic really. Like there are some kind of magical-esque things, but like it's
They're
really more
flashy in a
grounded.
different way.
Yeah, right. So
It's-
and it's just a cool story about a guy who used to murder everybody for the government during the war, who's just like, I don't want to do that anymore, and he decides he's never going to kill anybody ever again. But he still has to help people. So he's wandering around helping people.
Manslayer.
Yeah, they don't
That's
use
the
that term
name.
anymore. They don't use manslayer anymore. They use the
What do they call it?
I know they use the actual Japanese name, which is like
Okay.
Hikori or whatever. I forget exactly what.
All
the
right.
word
Well, I mean,
is.
that sounds cool. It's a
It
cool
still
sound.
means manslayer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But yeah, when
Um,
they call him Batosai the Manslayer, it's like, oh, that sounds violent and
It's a
awful.
good anime. Maybe y'all saw passing glimpses of it on a Toonami commercial or something, but it's one that lots of people know about. So it's one of your mainstream success anime movie shows that I find that is very good.
It's one of my
And
animes of all time. So
you like it too. I love it. All right.
I love Rurouni Kenshin, dude.
It's great. Yeah. The movies are great too, or the OVAs or whatever. It's
Yes.
Samurai X,
Yeah.
super good. And I did rewatch a movie recently, 28 Days Later. Man, it's got one of the greatest opening sequences. 28 weeks, I'm sorry, not days. This was a sequel. And
Also-
it's got one of the best opening sequences.
I don't know if I saw the sequel.
Oh, dude, it's so
Dude,
good.
The sequel's so good. Oh
I would
my
say
God.
I would argue it's probably better than the first
No
movie.
way.
So
I don't think it's better, but it's on par. It's that close. It's like it's really,
Yeah.
really good.
You could
Yeah.
make an argument for me that it's like the one Squeak Spy, but like they're not playing different ball games. They're in the same ballpark of
Is there
quality.
a Snyder cut for this one too, or is that just...
Nothing like that. No, but that I haven't seen it in a while. And that movie, there are multiple scenes in it that I winced. Like I'm getting old, so like watching physical, like actual, real, gratuitous violence kind of like bothers me a little bit now. Still entertaining, I'm not like squeamish or anything like that. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, he's like squishing her eyeballs in her brain, like doing one of the mountain numbers,
Oh yeah.
It's just hard to watch, and there's plenty of scenes because they're rage monsters where it's like they're just beating people to death, you know, and it's just like it's a hyper violent movie, and I really enjoyed it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Hawkeye is in it. Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner. Yeah. Rose Byrne. Yeah, she's in it. Really big cast. What's his face? Idris Elba. He's like the leader, and it's you know, it's basically like the American military come over and screw up like everything. You know, it's a very
we don't. How dare you?
Sticking our nose where it doesn't belong.
Yeah, some annoying kids kind of move the plot along, which is my only qualm with that movie. Is that like anytime like you center kids at the center of everything, especially like, you know, kids who just like make kid dumb decisions. You're just like, hey, all this wouldn't have happened if kids just didn't exist or whatever.
Sure.
But outside of that,
Kids
it was,
didn't exist.
Yeah, well, you could just, you know, not bring them to this, you know, area.
Leave him home. Get a babysitter.
Leave him at home. Yeah,
Exactly.
good movie though. I've been really enjoying going back and watching old movies. It's been very nice. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Jeff, what about you?
I played some games and I watched some things, guys. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
Pulling up my notes. Shut your mouth while I pull up my notes. All right, so I played finally. Went back and if I say finally, as if it has been out more than a week.
You didn't even say it like The Rock.
Finally, Dramana.
Dramana.
So the game that I played a new mode in AEW Fight Forever to celebrate CM Punk's firing because he sucks, and the mode is called Stadium Stampede, and it's like a battle royale mode where everybody's like kind of just thrown into an empty stadium. I think it's the practice stadium for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think it's up to 30 players, but I think we had like 15 or so in our run, which is good enough. That's plenty. Each match goes quite a long time. So I picked where you could pick where you could start, which is like concession or the office area or the football field or whatever. You can pick where you start, and it's pretty much just running around, and there's like one grapple move, one strong grapple move, one strike, one strong strike. And the combat's way simplified, but that's because there's chests to get to, and there's like different weapons to get from those chests. And I even had barbed wire traps that I could set up and throw people into.
Once you lose, you just watch the rest of the match, or you could bounce.
Yeah, you can just quit the match and start a new one if you want to.
Wait, but so it's different fighting mechanics though in this mode?
Yeah, it's more of more arcadian battle royale focused. So the coolest part though was just running around on the football field looking for chests or looking to beat people up. And if you take their health down and are able to hit your finisher on them, which is tough when you're surrounded by 5 other people.
Yeah, no kidding.
That does knock them out of the whole game. Because when you're KO'd, you do have the chance, like a short recovery window. You don't get when you're I should say dazed. When you're dazed, you have a short recovery window if nobody attacks you. But if somebody does manage to hit their finisher on you, you're out. Anyway, I was running around the football field looking for chests, and I saw a guy run by on a horse. I was like, what the hell is this mode? And he's just
where did the horse come from?
The horse. I have no idea.
Are there stables nearby? Like, what's
I don't know. How did you get a trident?
Wow, you really killed the
guy.
You have a grenade.
Killed the
Get a grenade. I have no idea. But yeah, it's like that's fun stuff like that too. And there's really cool parts where like one guy just like was going to attack me and he missed and he just destroyed a whole bunch of chairs in the front row. And I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know the environment was destructible.
Cool.
And there's cool parts too of like you can jump from like the raft. This is the freaking most hilarious part of it is I'm in the middle of like doing like scoop slamming somebody, and then out of nowhere this guy jumps from an upper balcony and hits me. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could go from an upper balcony.
You're like, you know what? Well played.
Yeah, I was like, you deserve that, buddy.
You got me.
So it's just chaos wall to wall. It's so fun.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to actually play more of that because I feel like I barely scratched the surface with what I did play. I also played the Jusant demo.
What?
Jusant.
What?
Spelled Jusant.
Oh, okay.
It's the mountain climbing.
Literally
demo.
didn't know what you're talking about.
Dan was doing a bit and was just gonna make you keep saying it.
It's
literally
a French
didn't know.
word, damn it, and it says it at the beginning of the game.
What?
It's a word that means something to do with tides receding and mountains showing up or something. Anyway, I'm very fascinated with the whole idea of climbing. Like,
Yes.
it's one of the things that I'm most fascinated with that I'll never do. It's just too dangerous. I am not interested.
Sure.
But I'm fascinated with how the mind of a climber works. That's why I love the movie Free Solo. I'm like in the middle of watching it for a third time. They have to do so much math in real time that they don't even think of how high up they are. They're just constantly like, where's the next hole I can put my hand in? You know, they're just thinking about what's in front of them at the moment. They're not thinking about if I let go, then I die.
Well, right. Yeah, you kind of.
So this game is kind of like that. It's a puzzle climbing game, kind of. At the start, it's very easy in terms of what you're supposed to reach for. But eventually, you get more things added to your disposal, like a rope thing, like I forget what they call that, where you plant a thing,
like a pivot or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's like a pivot, or I think they call it a pivot, right? Where they
it's a
stick
word
it in
like
the wall,
pivot.
you attach your rope to it, so you can either swing or climb to the next side.
Yeah.
Or
to catch you if you slip. Like
it does.
It's
yeah,
like something like a checkpoint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a checkpoint and a good way to help you. I don't know, just move from part to part. I think you get a finite amount, like 3 of them. But it helps you, like, I don't know, progress further or whatever. Anyway, so the coolest part about that is like the mechanically speaking, you have your left trigger and right trigger that controls your grips. So like if you let go of the right trigger, your right hand starts dangling. You know, you got to be like actually like precise with how you're climbing. It's a very tricky game in that regard, or it can be. Especially when you're like sitting there, like I feel like a real climber sometimes, where I'm sitting there and I'm like assessing the wall in front of me, and I'm like, where the hell does it want me to go? Like I love those moments.
This ladder is broken, so I gotta go to left or right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, I can just plant the thing here, like the pivot or whatever it's called, and I can just swing, you know. And sometimes it wants you to do that, which is really rad. But yeah, I find that the further you go along, obviously they want you to think things through a little more, just the way that climbers would. Which is really cool. Such an interesting concept for a game. I know you played the demo too, Tim, and we'll get around to that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm totally playing that day one on Game Pass because it's just so interesting. As far as watching, I rewatched Twister for some reason on Max.
For some reason.
I don't know why. I just wanted to hear Philip Seymour Hoffman say "suck zone" 18 times in the movie.
Suck zone.
Welcome to the suck zone. And then last thing I want to mention is this show just wrapped up on HBO. It's called How To with John Wilson. The finale aired last night. And this finale, I just can't recommend this show enough. I know it's going to be
the greatest show nobody's watching for sure.
I know Kyle likes it. He talked about it.
I know it's going to be nutty for some. It's kind of because it's just like it's kind of Kyle and I's brand of weird humor, weird drop. Nutty humor about
aimless sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Where it's just like the last episode especially has a cameo from somebody that all of us know who it is, or at least Tim, Kyle, and I do. I'll just say it. Chad Colchin appears in the final episode. And this was not planned. This was not planned.
No.
They did not. That's the thing with this documentary.
But he talks about loving the show all the time. So it's like for him to be on it, I'm sure is a thrill. So
yeah. And they shot it probably like a year ago. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. He knew he was going to be on it probably.
Yeah.
You have to sign a release. But the whole idea with this documentarian style is like, he sets out to, the episode was supposed to be about tracking packages and like how the systems in place work. How do we deal with porch? What do you call them? Porch thieves or whatever?
Porch pirates. Yeah.
Porch pirates. Yeah, people that just jack your packages. How do you do whatever? And then eventually goes down this rabbit hole of like, as soon as he hears the word organs get as soon as he hears that organs get delivered, he's like, well, I gotta find out more about that. So I have to interview.
Yeah. What's the process of delivering an organ? You know?
Yeah. And somebody misinterpreted that, and he ended up talking to somebody who delivers organs to instrument, not
like to churches and stuff, and funeral homes.
But then eventually this is his style. He just goes up to random people at the place that he's at, and he starts asking them questions. And one of the guys that he talked to was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna freeze my body, after I die."
He just so happened to be there at the organ place or something.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
That's the crossover.
And he was
then
like
that
describing
sends him down the next rabbit hole of like, well, tell me more about this freezing thing.
Yeah, let me tell you this body freezing.
So it's just his style is just be as a documentarian is just to go further down the weirdest rabbit hole he can
Yeah.
and find the weirdest people. And Chad just happened to be one of those weird people that he talked
Well,
to.
and Tim, as I'm sure you know, he talks about like writing books and being a student of the game of The Bachelor.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing he was weird about, like in.
Yes.
So it's like he was
He
legitimately
showed the
hired to be a
spreadsheets
weird
that
guy,
he
like in
always
the
talks
show.
about. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like we know it's
Chad
a genuine thing because he actually does that.
He coaches people to play The Bachelor, like to be on The
Yeah.
Bachelor. That's crazy.
He has
Yeah.
abbreviations for, and he's mentioned this before in Dudesy somewhat. He has abbreviations for certain things that happen in the show,
Personality
like
traits or
like
things
trauma experience, something exposure.
He said it's a game. It's
TDI or
got
something.
rules and you got players. And
TDI or something like that, where it's like they talked about a traumatic experience. That's what I mean by that. And I'm like,
They
what?
weaponized a traumatic experience, to get
exactly.
more likes or whatever.
Yeah, it's cool to see it in the spreadsheets, that he has like a spreadsheet of every breakdown of every moment of The Bachelor and stuff like that. And it's cool to see like that in action, because all he's done is talk about it. And I'm not going to watch his or listen to his Bachelor podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about
could
The
not
Bachelor.
care less. I know it's interesting to him, but like it is interesting that it came up at all. Like
because the thread is that, well, why would people want to elongate their life so much to freeze it if people just waste their time living anyways? And they're like, speaking of someone wasting their time living, this guy is obsessed with The Bachelor. And I'm like,
gosh.
it's such a
That's
good
the leap
thread
it
of
took.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and everything is connected by some sort of thread. So you're never like complete, like sometimes you'll feel like you're in completely different documentary.
Kyle and
obviously,
I had the privilege of watching an episode together, and just turning to each other at least 4 times in the episode and going, "How do we end up here?"
I can't believe we're here right now. Yeah. I forget
starts
how
as
the
one
episode
thing, it
started,
ends-
but it ends
yeah.
with like the Better Call Saul disease, with like people are allergic to electricity.
gosh.
There's a whole community of people that live there. I'm like, how did we get here? Like,
Wow.
he's interviewing people like that. It's such a good show.
I think the one that we watched together was the vacuum one, where we're like, "How did we get to the
it
vacuum
was the
convention
vacuum
where
one.
people are obsessed with collecting vacuums?"
Vacuum convention.
That's right.
What? And it's of course it's all white people, and he brought that up, and they were like looking around.
Oh,
like,
and specifically white
Well,
dudes. It's
white
a white
dudes.
dude thing. And like they all had the same story. It's like, well, when I was like 13 or 14, I just fell in love with this vacuum cleaner, and it's just something I kept close to the chest my entire life.
So
I know
weird.
exactly. I was like, this is just.
Huh? Was David Wallace there with the suck it?
Yeah. What you gonna do? You're gonna suck it. Suck it.
What?
Suck
Suck
it.
it.
Suck it.
All right, we gotta wrap up soon. Dan, let's go over to you for quick hits.
I mean, just I
Unless
haven't
I
touched
misheard,
Armored
Jeff. You said that was your last one, right?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Jusant.
Yeah, no, just Sea of Stars, and I haven't popped back into Armored Core, but I will, of course. And I saw all of you knuckleheads talking shit about One Piece, and I don't really appreciate it. Right? One Piece is a good time.
I walked it back hard. All right, I did walk it back.
I walked
hard.
it back. I didn't say anything.
It all started.
I get
because-
people like it, but those people are dumb, and that's me walking
Hey,
it back.
hey, listen. I am having a good time watching.
Are
it,
you?
right?
Yeah. Are you watching the live action show?
No. I'm saying the
watching the
anime.
anime.
But I did actually see a snippet of I can't remember his name, but the dude that's on like a really
We're
small
not gonna
boat,
know it, so
and he's got okay. I wasn't sure how familiar you were with
Not very.
One Piece, but I saw a character who's like a big badass. Like he just seems like an undefeatable character that they show a couple of times early on in the series, like a clip of him fighting some dudes on the sand. It actually, the way it was shot, like legit, was actually really cool.
It's getting legitimately great reviews.
Yeah,
it's
people are
very
actually
surprising.
enjoying
No,
it.
But
so.
apparently they involve the creator of the manga
the manga,
and the anime.
Best animation.
best
manga.
manga. I read all of it front to back, all the issues.
Make America Nigerian great again.
What?
I don't know.
You could have gone with make manga great again or
I
something.
don't know.
But yeah, no,
Cool.
I'm having a good time watching the anime. There's a really cool arc right now where it's like, I mean, spoilers, like there's a city in the sky. It's like a cloud city, and it's actually kind of badass.
Are they
the
sky
cloud,
pirates now?
well, there are people up in the I guess they technically are because they're in the sky, but they're not, like, you know, but it's actually really cool because the way that the clouds animate is like water, so it's actually really interesting because it's like they're in clouds, but it's like water. It's actually really cool.
Whoa.
So it's like Snake Way in Dragon Ball Z. I get you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then there's
It's
this
clouds, but water, dude.
But water, man. So it's just really cool the way it's like animated. But yeah, then they're fighting like this guy who's like.
If y'all were this mean to me during my Rurouni Kenshin thing, I would have cried. So I'm sorry, Dan. We're being mean.
It's
right
only
now.
because
I would have cried about it. So
I know.
I mean, Rurouni Kenshin's cooler than.
I at least wikied One Piece enough to know that there's 5,000 episodes. So you got to be like at least on episode 18.
It's actually 1,070 something. I think.
It's so many episodes of a
no,
thing.
I'm at about 187, I think. But yeah, no, the
Which
thing.
would be
so
like
the
first season of a normal show.
You're gonna have to freeze your body. When you die.
I know. Hey, I know a
Come
guy.
back and finish the
Speaking
show.
of somebody with no life, here's Dan watching One Piece.
And here's his spreadsheets. That's what happened in episode 353.
No, but it actually has a lot of heart. I can see why people do like the show. For me, like the type of anime that I love fight scenes in anime. I love epic, like shit's getting real, characters are gonna die or have died kind of moments. I love that kind of stuff in anime, and there's definitely like stuff like that in One Piece, but like there's a lot of humor like woven into moments that sometimes I'm like, maybe that moment we could have just stayed serious there,
like
you know,
silly, it's like silliness.
Yeah. Just the anime silliness, which I like, you know, in anime I'm fine with that, but like One Piece seems to do it like a lot. So it's just a nitpick. It's just more of a nitpick because it actually like I will still be laughing because it is funny, but it's like, but can we just like be serious for a second though? Because this guy's literally trying to kill you, and like we're doing shenanigans here. So, but no, it actually is a really fun anime. And it's got a lot of heart, and I do enjoy the cast of characters. So, but yeah, so I'll just keep plugging away at that for a while.
That's actually a lifelong goal that you're doing right now. So
Yeah,
you're already 90. You're like, I
even-
did it. I finished One Piece.
Not even 20% of the way through that yet.
Honey, get in here.
Right. on my deathbed.
Yeah. But then you have Alzheimer's and you've forgotten most of it.
Yeah.
You know, already. So it's like
Our brain's gonna betray us anyway. What are we doing, guys? Why are we doing this?
That's just sad.
All right, so just to be clear, One Piece is not about bathing suits. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean, there
kinda.
are girls in bathing suits. I mean,
Oh, okay.
There are dudes in bathing suits.
the redhead Nami is like this whole arc that I've been on. She's basically just been wearing like a bikini top, and yeah. So
I have to watch this show.
1,000 episodes.
yes,
That's an
I don't know if she's in the bikini top for 1,000 episodes, but right now she's just.
Well, then I don't have to watch this show.
Yeah, just watch this one arc, Jeff.
This is quite the roller coaster ride we're on here. I like this. All right, Dan, you got anything else you've been playing or watching?
No, I think that's it.
All right, and Jeff, you already mentioned the only new thing this week that we haven't already talked about that I've tried, the Jusant demo.
Jusant.
The what?
Jusant.
Oh.
What?
It's this game from Don't Nod, and they have two games coming out that they developed within 7 days of each other this fall, and who knows if these dates will actually stick. But this climbing simulation, basically, that Jeff was talking about, Jusant, comes out October 31st on Game Pass. So I'm with you. I will try it out there as well because I finished the demo. You have this cute little buddy in your backpack, some kind of little blue creature that
Love cute buddies.
Kind of like comes out, and I don't know exactly what he is or what he's doing or why he's traveling with you. Of course, I don't explain any of that stuff. But there's some kind of lore going on in this world. There's lots of stuff you can read along the way. It's that type of game where they don't talk to you at all. I don't think there's going to be a lot of characters to interact with. It's mostly about discovering notes and seeing memories and things like that. So
sometimes you have to backtrack too and be like, oh, this was an alternate way to climb here, or rappel down and find some other Easter egg. I guess.
Yeah, you can pick up these items and look at them and read stuff. So it's that type of it's got a very strong indie vibe where it's like very peaceful. It's very kind of just take your time and slowly climb.
It's a Derek game of the year.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think the art style, that kind of rhyme sort of art style, works for it. So
yeah.
Cool. But then their other game is called Banishers: The Ghosts of New Eden, which comes out a week later. It's about these two. That's like this couple, and then one of them dies, and they're already like banishers who are like dealing with the supernatural or whatever, paranormal creatures or ghosts or whatever. Now one of them dies, and they're working together to take care of these things and trying to restore the soul of this person to bring her back to life or whatever. So there's some kind of like love story and tragedy mixed in with you fighting creatures. Now,
so the polar opposite of Jusant for sure.
Polar opposite.
Yeah.
but it's also like it's very double A looking in the combat from what I could tell. It doesn't mean it's gonna be bad. It just doesn't look like it's gonna be the most fine.
Yeah, I described it as that looks like a solid 7 out of 10 experience gameplay.
Yeah, it's how it looks at a glance. But man, the
like
style...
Vampire with the Y. That was another Don't Nod game, I think. That very AAA, feel.
Yeah, it looks cool, but I'm also like, I don't expect it to be much, but just interesting that Don't Nod has 2 games back to back coming out this fall.
Wild. That's wild.
That's wild. Also playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom, which I don't have to talk too much more about. I will say my son did beat it this weekend. He beat Tears of the Kingdom, and that I know, right? Good, proud dad moment. I was telling
did you
Kyle,
have tears of the father after hearing that news?
I didn't. I was telling Kyle before the show that he really wanted me to watch him fight the last bad guy because we've been chatting about this game forever. But then he was, to his credit, he was like, "Well, I don't want to like spoil it if you don't want to see it." And I was like, "It's fine. Let me watch you fight the last battle. This is awesome." So yeah, got to see him finish it, which was cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to catch up with him, but I'm still.
Well, now you got a guy who's been there, so he can give you tips.
Help me out. Yeah, I am still very much in squirrel distraction mode in that game. Just like, what?
Yeah.
What's that over there? That looks like
I didn't know there was.
That looks like a green
game.
spiral. I
that
better go
was
that
the
way.
game.
That's right.
And then of course with Baldur's Gate 3, I still am absolutely loving that game. Starting to understand some of the systems a bit more. I am discovering that at least in some cases, some battles, and when you're indoor with multiple levels, the camera starts getting real janky. Like you have to really play around with who you're targeting and stuff. And like there were some battles there was one I actually had to reload because it just was not letting me see what I needed to see. So I had to reload because the camera just got stuck after I changed targets too many times, I guess. So so that part was a little frustrating, but still awesome game.
Camera jank.
Yeah, a little camera jank. Anyway, that's all we got though for this week. I think that's plenty. That's plenty for this week's episode. Next week, of course, we'll talk more Starfield. I'm sure more Sea of Stars. I'm sure and other games we're playing. But I know there's other huge games coming out in September. For me personally, I have a bit of a break until the craziness of October. Like I'm interested in Lies of P, and Witchfire and Wandering Sword are both kind of like on my radar because I think those both look awesome. But neither one are going to like supplant Starfield or anything else we're playing, or that Jimmy Ryan is playing, as we can see.
And me and Jimmy are going to go hang out after this and continue playing Starfield on our PlayStation 5. So
good for you.
I think the Many Pieces of Mr. Coup launches next week. I'm pretty excited to see what that's like. Because that visual art style is unbelievable.
It's bonkers, man.
Yeah.
It's really
for
really
a
good.
game. It's just insane.
Agreed. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in this week. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Wieners and